Welcome in on a Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, producer Ed Bird. We'll have head men's soccer coach Tony Annan join us here in just a short little while this morning. Catch up with Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider. And, I'll do another hour, 9 to 10 a.m. this morning. Preston Thorne will hop in and join me. So we got a lot to get to as we get you up and get you going. Kind of start to close down what's been a busy week. So maybe now we have time to kind of breathe, recap what we saw going from Monday night and the 65-7 thrashing of TCU by Georgia and where exactly it puts Georgia in the overall scheme of college football right now. I think I jokingly said it, kind of wondered, and maybe now is the time to have that appropriate question of, has Georgia taken over the mantle of top college football program, not just for 1 year, not just for the 2022 season, but is Georgia replaced Alabama as the preeminent program in the country? Now, Alabama's very good. Alabama's going to be back next year. There's no question about it. These are two elite programs, but we'll get into that a little bit this morning and kind of kick that around as to where exactly Georgia is in the hierarchy. Obviously, they're in the top 2 or 3 and probably in the top 2 when you just say, hey, back-to-back national championships. But have they become that program? Did Kirby
Smart take the Nick Saban blueprint,
take it to Athens and kind of do it better? Are they on the verge of doing it better? Bad haircuts and all for Kirby Smart. Bad haircuts and all. But it's a legitimate question, especially because South Carolina likely will continue to see Georgia on the schedule each and every year. Not that that's necessarily deterrent to a lot of things with the college football playoff expanding, but it is interesting given the proximity, what I guess we would call a rivalry, but South Carolina and Georgia certainly will go hand in hand moving forward in college football because of the conference and likely because of the schedule. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on that. We will kind of continue on with or finish up, I should say, what exactly it means for Spencer Rattler to return to South Carolina for his, I think, senior season. Again, COVID and red shirts and all that. I have no clue what years we technically are on at this point. I just know they're back in college. Many players are back in college. Yesterday, we came to the conclusion that technically, Luke Doty will be entering his red shirt sophomore season next year at South Carolina. Even with the return of Spencer Rattler, Luke Doty will be back for his redshirt sophomore season. COVID didn't count, played 2021, technically redshirted in 2022. He's played 3 years. It's quite something. He'll be going into his 4th actual college football season, but just be a redshirt sophomore. But what does it mean for Spencer Rattler to return to South Carolina? What exactly does that mean for expectations? What does it mean for Dow Loggins? What does it mean for the offense? And, of course, you factor in the other decision from Monday, which was Juice Wells and his decision to return to South Carolina as well. So you get that 1-2 punch that I've talked a lot about. So we'll kind of get back into that, and we'll kind of close the book as well. South Carolina's victory over Kentucky. Normally, we probably wouldn't continue to celebrate a basketball victory for 2 straight days. But, again, giving the significance, just the 3rd all-time win there at Rump Arena, kind of the way this team had played over the last month and a half of the season, I think you can have one more day to celebrate, to enjoy what was a 71-68 victory. You had G.G. Jackson with a very solid bounce-back performance coming off of a game against Tennessee in which he didn't score. Now he comes back out against Kentucky and puts up 16 points. Meechie Johnson obviously was fantastic. So we'll kind of put that game to bed and get you ready for the weekend. The Gamecocks and Texas A&M hooking up on Saturday afternoon, 6 o'clock at Colonial Life Arena. We'll kind of do that. Along the way, we'll start getting you ready, I should say, for the NFL playoffs this weekend. We really get into the wild card weekend and should be interesting. I can't say that there's a matchup that I just get completely fired up for. Miami at Buffalo. Okay. Yep. Baltimore at Cincinnati. Okay. Night game. That's the Sunday night game. Saturday night, you got the Chargers and the Jags taking on each other. And I will admit, it happy to see new blood, happy to see Jacksonville in the playoffs, but I don't know how excited I necessarily am to see those teams take each other on. If there's a matchup kind of like Kansas City and Buffalo last year that I'll go out of my way, I guess maybe Dallas and Tampa, Dak versus Tom Brady. Is it indeed Tom Brady's final game of his career, just the final game in Tampa? There are storylines, and we'll kind of go through those throughout the morning. So, again, a lot to get into, a lot to move through here. If you want to weigh in this morning, a couple easy ways for you to do that. You can join us as always on our live stream. Go to youtube.com, search 1075 at the game, click join, subscribe, be a part of the program there. Robin, Jerry, LeVar, and DC up and at it with us this morning, ready to go, ready to weigh in with some chit chat there on the live stream. If you want to hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line or the Love Chevy phone lines, 803-404-6100. That's how you can be a part of the program if you choose to do so this morning. Again, you can send in a text, you can give us a phone call, whatever you feel is best for you. So South Carolina, again, move zone now. Football, the recruiting continues, and now we'll see the transfer portal is set to close next week. And the question now becomes, with the return of Spencer Rattler, does that raise any eyebrows of wide receivers currently in the transfer portal? Would that be something that here over the next? Now, I should admit the opportunity to enter the transfer portal closes next week. Now, you can still be in there and transfer around. Just the opportunity to jump into the transfer portal comes to a conclusion next week. Guys that do jump in there, that are in there, can wait a little bit longer and make their decisions. You don't have to be, I don't know, how do we describe that thing? Some kind of like time travel machine. You don't have to be out of the transfer portal by next week. You just have to have named your or made your decision on whether you're going in or what you may do on that regard. Once you're in, and if you want to decide where you're going afterwards, so be it. Obviously, one of the pieces of that is the ability to enroll in school early, to be able to get in and go to class and be able to be eligible for the spring semester and go through spring practice and all those things. So there is a little bit of a timetable there in which you need to make some decisions. But with Spencer Rattler electing to come back now, does this open the eyes of, say, a transfer wide receiver somewhere? I don't know whether it will be. Again, the initial 45-day transfer portal window started back on December 5th. We all remember that. And it closes a week from today, January 19th. That's how it works. There will be actually another transfer portal opening. Oh, boy, another transfer portal opening that will take place later on after spring practice. So you do have the opportunity to go through your spring, see kind of where you are at as it pertains to your depth chart on your roster. That one will open May 1st and go through May 15th. So just because South Carolina doesn't land a transfer wide receiver, I can't believe I'm having to explain all this. It's just so annoying. Just because they don't land a transfer wide receiver in this transfer portal opening doesn't mean they can't get one in the month of May 1st through the 15th. Again, that player would then be able to enroll in the summer and go through summer workouts, summer training with Spencer Rattler, the other quarterbacks, the offense, but would not, again, be a part of spring practice. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. Is there a name out there? Is there anybody out there? South Carolina, I think, is keeping an eye on one particular player, Trajan Jeffcoat, former Irmo standout defensive end, has been at Missouri the last few years. Trajan Jeffcoat, the defensive end from Missouri, has entered the transfer portal. I think a lot of people believe that he will end up back here in Columbia, kind of replacing Jordan Birch. It'd be probably a pretty good trade for the Gamecocks. They'd be happy to take Trajan Jeffcoat. His production very similar to Jordan Birch's over the course of his career. Would be, again, similar players, maybe even a little bit better actual pass rusher as opposed to Jordan Birch. But that is maybe the one player South Carolina really keeping an eye on as it pertains to the transfer portal. I also have to imagine, if it's not in this particular opening, that South Carolina is keeping an eye on the transfer portal for an every down running back, a guy who with proven quality production that can come in and either start or give them some depth there behind some of the guys currently on campus. So that's a little bit with the transfer portal. Again, it'll be kind of a day in which we slowly kind of wrap up everything that has transpired. It feels like a Friday. It really does feel like a Friday. It's been such a busy week, but we will slowly start to wrap up. Again, we'll take a look coming up at Georgia, where they are. That final AP top 25 out on Monday night. Tuesday morning, we'll look at that. South Carolina finishing in the top 25 for the first time since 2013. We'll talk a little bit about that. But we'll also, again, look at where is Georgia? Are they the new team in college football? Are they the new Alabama? You're listening to Bill Gunner. He's producer Ed Bird. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute. My final regular season NFL power rankings are evenly split between the AFC and NFC, starting with Kansas City and San Francisco. Could we see a Super Bowl 54 rematch? Good luck going through Buffalo, folks, or Cincinnati for that matter, which was red hot before the Monday night cancellation. How healthy really is Philly's Jalen Hurts? The Chargers, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, and Dallas complete my top 10. I'm Boomer Esiason. CBS Sports Radio.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man aged 45 non-smoker can get $1 million of coverage for $75 per month. Level rate for 10 years. Or a man aged 50 non-smoker can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of $110. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Termbusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote. 800-786-9161. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-786-9161. Remember, 1-800-786-9161. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-smoker rate class. Exam required to qualify.
Sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot for Friday is $1.35 billion. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See SCEducationLottery.com for jackpot odds in a store near you.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at text plan.
What time do these workouts occur? Because I feel like you're working out when I'm working, and then I'm working out when you're working. I think we got our schedules mixed up a little bit there. I think I pulled my Achilles too last night. I got a back of my ankle was killing me. Coaching basketball last night. I don't know what I did. Woke up in the middle of the night and it hurt. Pat Kelsey's the real deal. I agree. Pat Kelsey is the real deal. I saw what was it? They won last night. They are definitely looking legit.
That's right. You don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings in this month. Text RENEW to 200-300 right now. Text the word RENEW to 200-300. Don't wait. Text RENEW to 200-300.
Credit may determine down payment. Call 866-243-4623 for details. The legend of JT began in 1991 when rumor has it that a man with 300 credit score was able to buy a new car. More than 3 decades later, JT of JT's Jeep Ram in Lexington has helped thousands of people get the new vehicle they need. You too can join JT's Credit Restart. It's easy. If you take home $400 per week and have a steady job, you too can join the thousands JT has helped and drive the new Jeep or Ram of your dreams. JT's Jeep Ram Lexington, jtsjeepram.com. Or something new sales event. We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the
man. The government have been providing top-notch service throughout the Midlands for over 47 years, building their business on relationships, not gimmicks. And you can call them locally, not a 1-800 number. Call them today at 791-7147 and look for the guys in the powder blue trucks.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by, shop online today, and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game with Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks. 1075 The Game.
Eight 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in if you want to do so this morning. So, again, as we kind of wrap up the college football season now, we move into really spring practice. Well, spring practice will be, it's not that far away for some teams. It's probably about 2 months away as we sit here on the 12th for South Carolina. I don't think they've announced an official start date for the spring. Obviously, you've still got to get through the final signing period, and South Carolina waiting on a couple guys. Elijah Caldwell, the wide receiver out of the upstate. Nicholas Harbor, the 5-star athlete, tight end / defensive end from the Maryland area. Certainly, so there are some recruiting things that need to be figured out, and then you kind of move past that. But with all that being said, we wrap up the actual season, and I think the question that is raised now after back-to-back national championships, after going a perfect 15-0. And I know they were challenged by Missouri. Georgia had to rally in the fourth quarter there. But in a regular season in which they weren't really challenged. Again, I know that Missouri game, but I think it's, that was an unusual set of circumstances, and kudos to Missouri in that game. Other than that, the only time Georgia was challenged was by Ohio State this past season. And they found a way. They just, much like the Missouri game, they rally, they pick up the victory, they move on, then they crush TCU in the national championship. But you go back here, and again, Georgia's only loss over their last 30 games is to Alabama in the SEC championship game. That's 29-1. That's pretty impressive. You go back to the COVID year, you go back into the COVID season, and in that particular season, Georgia had 2 losses. That year it was Alabama, and it was a loss to Florida down in Jacksonville. So of the last 3 losses for Georgia, 37-3 over the last 3 years. 2 of them come to Alabama. So I think that right there tells you, all right, it's Alabama and Georgia. Who are we discussing right now as the program who has taken basically the top spot in college football? Who is that program that everybody says, man, we'd really like to be like those guys? Alabama's always going to be in that conversation with Nick Saban. He's just built Alabama into that monster. But the question I think is now, has Kirby Smart done it a little bit better? Has Kirby Smart, in essence, reinvented the wheel in Athens because of the way he recruits, because of the way they play, and have they become that program under Kirby Smart? Again, the numbers, you look at it, and this is just open debate because South Carolina's got to play them. The numbers, again, the last 4 years, 12-2, 8-2, 14-1, 15-0. I mean, think about that. Think about that run that Georgia has been on. By the way, one of those 12-2 seasons, one of those losses was to South Carolina. Just the Will Muschamp stigma always hanging around on that one. But is Georgia now either on the same plane, 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in on this, is Georgia on the same plane as Alabama? Have they surpassed Alabama? Or in your opinion, are they still behind Alabama? Those are your 2 teams, right? Nobody else matches up with them. Nobody else in college football really is even in their stratosphere at this point. Ohio State's close. That's really about it. Maybe Michigan is creeping up there with back-to-back playoff appearances, but still no national title appearances. Obviously no wins in the college football playoff. Is Ohio State I guess Ohio State, I wouldn't list them in that stratosphere. Again, it's Alabama and it's Georgia. And I asked you this morning, 803-404-6100. I ask you, has Georgia surpassed Alabama? Are they on the same plane? Are they even now? Or is Alabama still ahead of Georgia? I mentioned that AP Top 25 coming out. We did tell you, I'm sure most of you listened, South Carolina finishing number 23. They dropped 3 spots after that loss to Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl. But you look at the final AP Top 25, Georgia again, number 1. You know that. TCU finished number 2. Michigan finished 3, and Ohio State finished 4. Then it was Alabama, Tennessee, Penn State at 7. Washington, who I really like. I like Kalen DeBoer out there as their coach. And I'm not telling you that, hey, Washington's going to start making runs to college football playoffs or national championships anytime soon. I do think with continued discussion about expansion and what could potentially happen with the Big Ten, maybe looking to continue to increase the size of their conference, is Washington with Kalen DeBoer becoming more of a viable attraction? Is that a team that you would want to add? Obviously, Oregon is the other team that's been talked about. Oregon finishing number 15 in the most recent college in the AP Top 25, the final AP Top 25. But Kalen DeBoer is a young up-and-coming coach. And again, I really started following his career when he was mentioned kind of prominently for the South Carolina offensive coordinator position that would end up going to Mike Bobo. Kalen DeBoer at that time was actually at Indiana, would go out to be the head coach at Fresno State, and has gone on to a pretty solid career out there, and then moves over to Washington. And in his first year, by the way, let me just go back to what I was saying. The Fresno State stuff, 9-3 in his first full season, 9-3. He was out there for the COVID season as well, where they went 3-3. But Kalen DeBoer went 9-3 in his first full season. This past year, first full season with Washington, they go 11-2. This is a guy that I think you look at as maybe one of the next big time coaches in college football. Just 48 years of age, he'll be 49 in October. Kind of a pass heavy system that he likes to run. It's wide open. Let's throw it around the yard. Let's have a good time. Michael Penix Jr., a really good quarterback for them this year. Penix coming back for Washington, and Washington may be a dark horse. When I say a dark horse, they may get dark horse love for national championship type predictions. Again, let's be honest, with no matter who Ohio State returns, whatever Georgia returns, and whatever Alabama returns, all 3 of those are going to be listed ahead of Washington. But keep an eye on Washington along with Southern Cal to be kind of the dark horse contenders for that final college football playoff spot. You look again at what Kalen DeBoer was able to do with Penix Jr. this year. Penix throws for 4,641 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Keep an eye on that guy as a guy that could be also in the Heisman discussion next year as we wrap up our 2022 season and kind of look back. But Washington with a very solid year, and I think is going to get some love there from pollsters and from media outlets when we get around to the summertime. May very well end up seeing them in the top 5 when we open up the preseason poll. So you got Washington at 8. Tulane, after their fun Cotton Bowl victory, they finished 9, and Utah finishes number 10 after being spanked in the Rose Bowl. 803-404-6100. The question, though, Georgia and Alabama, are they? I mean, they are the preeminent teams. Has Georgia surpassed Alabama? Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone line. Steve wants to weigh in this morning. Steve, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing good.
Good. My answer to that is no. Georgia's not over Alabama, because my reason for saying that, Alabama has done it for decades, a whole decade that they've been on top, and Georgia's like 3 years in. I mean, Georgia's real, real good, but no, they're not surpassed Alabama yet. And I can promise you, if that was Alabama Monday night, even if they'd have beat Alabama, they wouldn't have beat Alabama like that. I don't think Georgia's up and coming, but no, they haven't surpassed Alabama, in my opinion.
All right, it's a good point. You're right. The longevity of what Alabama has done definitely stands out. But I think you wonder if, after what you've seen the last 2 seasons, Alabama does have a victory over Georgia. Georgia's got a victory over Alabama. If Georgia has at least pulled even. You don't think they've pulled even at all? I don't. He's hung up. But that's kind of where I'm at. I am with him. Steve's right. The longevity of what Alabama has been able to do. And Alabama will be right back there at the top next year. They'll have another slew of 5-star players ready to line up and take the field. Alabama's not going away. I do just wonder. Look, that victory and what he said, what Steve also said there is very true. I think if it had have been Alabama, look what Alabama did to Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. Kansas State, obviously the Big 12 champion, and knocking off uh, TCU there in the Big 12 championship game, and you still see what Alabama did, which was very impressive. I don't disagree with what Steve just said there. Had of it been Alabama in that national championship game, maybe it's not 65-7, but it would have been ugly. It would have been ugly. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in this morning. Gene saying Georgia, Bama is tops for now. Ohio State is close. Yeah, Ohio State's they've there obviously last year 2 years ago, I guess, playing for the national championship. This past year, getting back to the college football playoff. Ohio State certainly has been a very solid program under Ryan Day. We'll see if they can take the next step now, losing some of their players. 803-404-6100. Back out to the Love Chevy phone lines we go. Bo wants to weigh in on the Georgia-Alabama debate. Bo, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm doing good, man. I think Georgia has surpassed Alabama a little bit in the last 2 years, but when you really look at the program from 2009 to 23, Alabama has played for or won the national championship all but 3 times. So they've been in the last games from 2009 to 2023. They have either won it or played in it every time except, for 3 times. That's incredible, man.
No, I agree. So you and Steve are on the same page. Just the longevity of what Alabama's been able to do is what stands out. Why you would still have them ahead of Georgia right now?
Yeah, I would, man. I mean, because you got to think about that. What is that? 2009. That's 11 years or 12 years.
Yeah.
No, it's actually
13 after
13.
this year. Yeah.
Okay, so they've played for it or won it 10 times.
Yeah.
That's pretty daggum impressive, man. I mean, I don't know if anything like that's ever been done in college football. I don't think even back in the heydays of when it was just pretty much Ivy League football and Minnesota was winning it all the time, or
yeah.
I don't think it. I mean, I don't think they even did accomplish something like that. It's pretty incredible. It's a very special time, but yeah, I mean, you got to put Georgia ahead of of them just a little bit right now. They seem like they fell off a little bit the last couple of years, but I would be surprised if he didn't come back with a vengeance this year.
Appreciate the phone call, Bo. Yeah, it's look, Alabama will be back, and it's kind of at times a superficial conversation because these two could go back and forth here for a while in terms of being top. Currently, we'll just say top dog. I wasn't necessarily meaning to make that pun, but then you get the point. It kind of just ended up that way. Y'all are right. I'm not. It's the reason I make it a little bit of a conversation this morning is because of the relationship South Carolina will have with Georgia. You will see Georgia on your schedule. I think even when they redo the SEC schedules, however they want to do them, whether it's 3 permanents and 6 rotating or whatever it may be, I do think you'll see Georgia on the schedule on a yearly basis. So that is a team, South Carolina, at least with the expanded playoff, you don't necessarily have to climb over. You get into the college football playoff, you hope that Georgia maybe is knocked off. Alabama, I don't think you have to see on a yearly basis. 803-404-6100. We'll continue. I see some of you weighing in, including our resident Alabama fan, Todd. We'll get to some of these text messages on the Firehouse Subs text line. We'll continue on the Love Chevy phone lines. We'll get back into that Spencer Rattler discussion. And again, it's okay today to wear your garnet black and celebrate knocking off Kentucky at Rupp Arena for just the 3rd time ever on Tuesday night. You can have another day celebrating. We'll continue discussing that as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Your home for Gamecocks all year long. Streaming live local radio. And it's free. 107.5 The Game.
Going out and purchasing a new vehicle should be a thrilling experience. It should be a lot of fun. It should be stress-free, too. That's an important thing there. There's a lot of stress in the world these days. One of them should not be going and buying a new car. You should have a lot of fun doing it. Those test drives are an absolute blast. You should be able to ask questions, get legitimate answers. And at Love Chevrolet, they understand that. Not only does Love Chevrolet have the largest selection of vehicles anywhere in the Midlands, not only do they offer you the $1,000 low price guarantee, but they have a sales staff that's taking care of customers for over 60 years, well-trained, knowledgeable, friendly. Many of the sales staff have been there for over 20 years. That's what makes Love Chevrolet my go-to stop when it's time to purchase that next gunner, car, truck, or SUV, because the people there are ready to help you. I guarantee you there's probably some of them out there 6:30 in the morning today ready to go. They're excited about their job. They love what they do, and they love helping their customers. That's why Love Chevrolet has been at the top of the game here in the Midlands for over 60 years, making sure their customers are taken care of, not selling above MSRP, having a large selection of vehicles from which to choose with. And again, that customer support, that customer service, so friendly, so knowledgeable, ready to help you. So go visit Love Chevrolet today. If you're in the market for a new car, truck, or SUV, they have a fantastic certified pre-owned lot as well. Love Chevrolet's got you covered. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
This message is brought to you by Discover. Did you know you could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection? The latest innovation from Discover. Discover will help regularly remove your personal information like your name and address from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And they'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection. That's discover.com/online privacy protection.
We all drive. Sooner or later, we're going to have to replace our tires. I trust the experts at TireRack.com. For over 40 years, they've been revolutionizing tire buying. Go to TireRack.com/radio and tell them what you drive. They'll show you tires that are a perfect fit. Not sure where to start? Their easy-to-use tire decision guide shows you the right tires for how, what, and where you drive. Their extensive selection includes Sumitomo high-performance, all-season CUV, SUV, and light truck tires. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
With approved credit and bank determined down payment, call 888-320-6359 for details. The legend of JT began in 1991 when rumor has it that a man with a 300 credit score was able to buy a new car. More than 3 decades later, JT of JT's Kia has helped thousands of people get the new vehicle they need. You too can join JT's Credit Restart. It's easy. If you take home $400 per week and have a steady job, you too could join the thousands JT has helped and drive the new Kia of your dreams. JT's Kia on Killian Commons Road. JT'sKia.com.
I'm Taylor Bishotti with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Ravens may be flying into their first playoff game Sunday without Lamar Jackson. NFL Network insiders Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo report the quarterback has an uphill battle to play against the Bengals due to a knee sprain that's kept him out the past 5 games. Meantime, in Miami, Tua Tagovailoa has already been ruled out by the team Sunday due to a concussion. The Dolphins are preparing to start rookie Skylar Thompson against the Bills. Elsewhere, former Saints head coach Sean Payton is a popular man. The Cardinals and Texans were both given permission to speak with him about their head coach openings. Payton is still under contract with the Saints, who'd likely want significant compensation from any team interested in him. In some wonderful news to report, Damar Hamlin is going home. The Bills safety was deemed healthy enough to be discharged from a Buffalo hospital Wednesday, just 9 days after suffering a cardiac arrest during the game. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
If you want to save money and start the year right, Staples has you covered.
I need everything to restock my business. File folders, break room supplies, even business cards.
Staples has you covered with big savings on everything you need for your home or office. And now at Staples, Rewards members get $30 back via Staples store bonus when they spend $100. That's $30 to use toward everything from ink to tech. Save big right now at Staples, the working and learning store. Rewards members only. Store bonus redeemable in-store only. Offer ends 1/21.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
From the traffic center this morning, looking at one wreck. This one's going to be at Old Garner's Ferry at Garner's Ferry Road. Otherwise, right now, moving pretty light. Traffic going pretty well.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
Eight zero 6100 is how you can weigh in this morning if you want to do that. Joined now by our good buddy. I hadn't seen him in a few weeks. Tony Annan. He was dealing with the family. Had all the family in the household. The Annan family had made the trip across the pond. How was it? Was it like a Griswold Christmas?
Absolutely. I love chaos in my house at Christmas, so it was good. Lights out, everything. Parents from over the seas. It was good.
So you were the Clark Griswold. You had the lights up. You were on the roof. You slid off once or twice, and
I didn't slide off, but my neighbor shouted at me, "Hey, Griswold!" Like I'd put too many lights up apparently. So
okay,
but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good Christmas.
The
Good
menace
holiday.
menace of the neighborhood. Let's talk a little soccer real quick with you. You guys are right about time to get going again with kind of I was talking about spring practice for South Carolina football. You guys are kicking it off, getting going now with spring training.
Yeah, day 3 today.
Okay.
So yeah, everyone's back. The new guys are in, and it's been really good. It's been really sharp.
Now, a couple things. You will have an exhibition. I shouldn't say a scrimmage. An exhibition coming up against Charlotte FC here in the next few weeks over at Stone Stadium. You're going to head down to the Charleston Battery and take them on. Talk a little bit about those. People can come out free to the public, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. We decided to play a couple of professional teams just to sort of see where the bar is at for our guys and expose them to that. And I think you get better by playing better teams. So we went out and said, right, let's play a couple of professional teams and show the guys where it's at and what the standard is, and obviously give us some really good games for development for the players. So February 11th here at 6 p.m. and then we go down to the Battery and play 7 p.m. on the 18th.
Now, Charleston, is that because I know they have club teams kind of go down. Is this going to be the actual MLS team, or is this a club team that you're playing? Because I think people would want to go, whoa. Are you playing a professional team, or are you playing, is it more of a club team?
No, we're playing the USL Championship team.
Okay.
Ben Perman took over there, and he's got 5 preseason games scheduled, and we're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The Charlotte team is their MLS Pro team, so it's kind of their reserve team, which will be a mixture of young pros and maybe some academy kids that are excelling but are not going to college because you can't play in games like that. So it'll be good. It'll be good for us. Some really big tests for some of the guys as well, and they're excited about it.
Now, you mentioned new guys are in. How many guys did you have? I guess maybe be enroll early, kind of like football. I guess they enrolled. How is the new guys coming in, and how do you see them impacting your squad there in the fall?
Yeah, we have Mika Abel from Munich. He's a 19-year-old who's playing over there, who's very impressive. He's in great shape, and he looks really good on the ball. And then we have Kasper Lem, who's a Danish left back, who's a graduate student. So he transferred in. He's only going to be with us for 1 year. He's doing his master's, but both of them look very, very technically sound and very physically in good shape. So they're both very impressive. They've been impressive for the last couple of days.
What is training for you now? What is training for when you guys, is it practice? Is it like I'm familiar, I think a lot of people this morning are familiar with spring training, spring practice for college football. What is training for you guys?
It's kind of a strange thing, right? Because you think your season, you would do a ton of coaching and you would do as much as you can, but with the schedule being the way it is in the fall, where you're playing 2 games a week, sometimes 3 in a week, you don't get a lot of opportunity to actually teach and train the way you want to because you're in recovery or you're in preparation or you're getting ready to travel. And so you don't get a ton of time to really get stuck into the coaching, the meat and veg of your philosophy or your principles of play. So spring is structured to where you get 4 or 5 days a week of complete proper training, is what I would call it. Like you can do all the principal sessions, you can really push the guys, you can really get stuck into them because you don't have to worry about playing 2 games in a week. We play a game maybe every 3 weeks. You get a game if you do it that way. So you can really periodize your training and really push them and really sort of dig into the mentality of what you're trying to do in the fall. So tons of coaching in the spring, tons of effort, tons of high intensity stuff. So it's really enjoyable, to be fair.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning. If you want to ask Coach Tony a question, you can do that. He'll be here hanging out, what'd you say, about 7:30, I believe, and then it is training is about when you've got to get out. Is that what?
Yeah, I got to get there about an hour before prep, so.
Yeah, it is important to have the coach there.
That is a little bit of I'm not the most important piece, but it is important that I'm there.
We'll get into a little bit more of that with him. Also get his take on Tuesday night's big victory. You mentioned it. You got to know Lamont Paris very well. And from a coaching standpoint, I guess as being a head coach in another sport, I don't know how much you got to see of Saturday's game against Tennessee and the way that went, but what it's like trying to get your team to bounce back and then go on the road and find a way to win or pull off a victory like that, and what you think. So we'll get Coach's perspective on that as well. You're listening to Tony Annan, Bill Gunner. He's producer Ed Bird. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by eBay Motors. You might not have the biggest garage on the block, but with eBay Motors, there's 122 million parts right at your fingertips, whatever you need. There's something that fits your vehicle. Air filters, tires, seat covers, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm starting the new year by making my home feel like new with the advanced cleaning of Zerorez. Take advantage of their New Year sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Schedule online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
Approved credit and bank determined down payment. Call 888-411-7640 for details. The legend of JT began in 1991 when rumor has it that a man with a 300 credit score was able to buy a new car. More than 3 decades later, JT of JT's Dodge Land has helped thousands of people get the new vehicle they need. You too can join JT's Credit Restart. It's easy. If you take home $400 per week and have a steady job, you too could join the thousands JT has helped and drive the new Ram or Dodge of your dreams. Dodge Land on Greystone, jtsdodge.com. Start something new sales event.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WIN for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WIN for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WIN.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join our growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Get the right care at the right place. Visit Lexington Medical Center's convenient urgent care centers for minor illnesses and injuries, and use our emergency room for emergencies. Go to lexmed.com/care now to know where to go for the care you need now.
The cars hit a deer this morning. It is on Wilson Boulevard, just north of I-20. Look out for those deer in the dark. Also this morning, Garners Ferry Road at Old Garners Ferry, an accident there.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. with Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
.647 on a Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, head coach Tony Annan, producer Ed Bird, as we get you up and get you out the door. And to go back, we've talked about it on air. We've talked about it off air. You got to know both Shane Beamer and Lamont Parrish really well last summer as y'all were doing the Carolina, was it the Gamecock Club tour, I guess, whatever it was. Welcome home. Thank you, the Welcome Home tour. From a coaching standpoint, let's go into a coaching standpoint of it. You have a game like Lamont had on Saturday where just nothing goes right, and it's bad from the get-go. It's really bad from the get-go. What is it like as a coach to be on the sideline when you just look and you just go, either my guys are not responding, my guys didn't come with a competitive spirit today? How is that from a coach's standpoint in a collegiate contest? Because I would imagine we've all been there where you're in a peewee game or something, you go out and you go, okay, they just got the bigger, taller guy, and there's nothing I can do. College, you're buying the ingredients. You're recruiting your players. What happens when you see something like that?
It's kind of a helpless feeling, to be honest, because you're really, really trying. You're not standing there saying, okay, they're better than us, we're just going to take it. You're never going to do that. But it's a really, really difficult position to be in because you are trying things, it's not working. They are better than you in many positions, and there's nothing you can do about that. And it's kind of a helpless sort of little bit of depressing place to be, and you're alone. You're very alone because everyone's looking at you and everyone's waiting for you to do something, and it's a very lonely place to be. And it's a tough place to be because you think you know what you're doing, you think you're good enough, and then there's a little bit of doubt comes in because they are so good or you're so far off, or it's not a nice feeling as a coach. Probably one of the worst positions to be in. But what's worse is the aftermath of that. So then you have to deal with the fickle fan who wants you to get fired, who says you're not good enough, who says this isn't good enough for us, that's not our standard. And then you have to deal with that whole episode as well. So it's not a great place to be as a coach. And for me, what they did and how they did it is a huge, huge indicator of what's to come for me. And I'm not saying that because I like Lamont and I have a good relationship with Lamont. I was really proud of what they did against Kentucky because that is not an easy place to go and it's not an easy win. And the way they did it, and they got down and they grinded that one out. And even at the end, it was so close. But to come back 1 week later from that is a huge result. I don't know if people understand how big a result that is for a coach and for a team. That's difficult. When you get done by a lot and then the very next game you come back and do one of the best teams around with that history, that is a huge result. It's a huge turnaround. It's a huge comeback, and it's massive for the character of the team.
How does that happen in practice? Because for you, I'm trying to think, you play, what is it, Sunday, and then you typically turn around and play Friday. What was it? Am I right on that? Or what was it, Tuesday? I think you were playing Tuesday, Saturday.
Yeah.
So there's a little, obviously, you try and give a day off, recovery day. But when you get beat like that, how does practice typically go the next day? Because I think some people would say you come in and you're just every word you can think of you're using. But there's an element of you've got to teach, you've got to coach, you've got to improve. How does a practice like that go for Tony Annan when there's a loss that's that significant?
It's hard. You got to pick the guys up, and you're not talking about seasoned professionals who have been through the ringer. You're talking about 18 to 22 or 23-year-olds who, I'm not being funny, but the generations have changed as well. It's not easy to pick a team up now after a loss like that, which is what makes that win even more than you could think of. How did he do that? It makes it even more special because he managed to pick his team up, managed to turn them around and keep them positive and keep them going into that game with positivity.
Again, you were on planes, you were in buses because similarities there. Shane got walloped by Florida. And everything you just said, I know what it was like on this program that Monday morning afterwards, and people were upset and they wanted blood. They wanted it. Somebody fired. Anybody, if they could have fired me, they would have. Somebody needed to be fired. And as you just talked about, he got his team ready and obviously knocked off the number 8 team in the country, I think, or number 5, whatever Tennessee was going into that game. you see the similarities. In your opinion, how is Lamont and Shane similar in how they run their programs and their mindset of that? Because you see that's an interesting description to talk about having to come back. And you look at what Shane did after the Florida loss, and you look at what Lamont did after the Tennessee loss. Both were ugly, and to come back in the very next game, and those are massive victories.
That's coaching. That's that the ability to get your players to believe again and to bounce back and to put in that kind of effort after being, kicked in the guts when they're on the floor. Basically, that's what it is. The ability to be able to get your team to bounce back, that's a special, unique talent. That is coaching and management of players and management of staff to be able to bounce back and get it going again. And I think I've said on this program before, that's sports. Fans can say what they want. Fans can have their opinion, and they're entitled to that. They're fans, right? They're fanatics. That's what they are. And we accept that as coaches, that you're going to get that. But sometimes the fan doesn't understand the position the coach is in, doesn't understand what really happened, because all they see is the result, or they see their team getting stamped all over. And I get it. You're a fan. And I've said it before, that is coaching. There's ebbs and flows to a season. There's highs and lows, but it's about keeping consistency. And it's about sailing through those moments. When the seas are rough, you've got to get through. You can't just give up and sit there and go, okay, we're not good enough. That's coaching.
803-404-6200. A couple of questions for you here. Let's start with the easy one. Travis on our live stream asks, in soccer, what's the most important aspect for a player to have, speed or strength?
Brains.
Okay.
Brains, decision-making, and technique. That'll surpass speed and strength any day of the week. If a player is clever and he can make good decisions and he's good with the ball, he's comfortable on the ball, he's got an advantage. Speed and what was the other one that he asked?
Strength.
Speed and strength are fantastic to have, but speed and strength doesn't win your games. Brains do, and decision-making does, and technique with the ball does. But obviously, speed and strength is a massive part of it, but it's not the most important. For me, that's my philosophy.
This one, we very rarely ask you the very difficult questions on this program, but this one come in off of the Firehouse Subs text line, and it says, for Coach Tony, what does progress for the men's soccer program look like in 2023? Your third year in the program. You made some significant strides this past year. What does progress look like?
You set me up expectation-wise here, don't you?
I told you, we don't ask many hard questions.
To continue winning, right? Listen, at the end of the day, I was brought here to win, and I understand that again. And we are going to continue to win. We're going to continue to move forward and develop the team and develop the players, but also get more wins on the board. That's what the fans want. That's what I want. It's what our players want. It's what the school wants. We've got to become a winning team. And for season 3, we have to win more games. Doing it our way and continuing to develop our culture and our DNA, so to speak. But yeah, we've got to win, and we've got to win more games.
You mentioned it. It's only, I think today you said, it's only the third training session, but for your club, you always talk about, we always hear coaches talk about taking on the personality of their team, and it's hard to impact a team in your first year with your personality. They're coming off a previous coach. There's a learning period. From what you've seen in the first 2 training sessions, do you feel like your personality, your mindset is now ingrained in that locker room, is now part of that team, and that when they take the field, they're going out with the Coach Annan mindset, or is there still just a little bit of gelling? What's the time frame for a coach to really feel like, all right, I've put my stamp on this program?
Oh, it's another great question. Yes, I see lots of traits that I want to see, and the mentality has changed. The players have changed. It's not the same team as it was first season. I think we've got 2 guys left from that season. So now we've turned the corner. We're still very young, but I'm starting to see the things that I want to see out of a team. I'm starting to hear the things I want to hear in the locker room. And the vibe of the team is a lot different than when I walked in the door. No disrespect to those players that were here before, but we've changed a lot of things, and we're starting to see things evolve. Yeah.
We'll continue talking about that, get back into just some finer points of coaching. I'll even get Coach Annan's opinion on the national championship game on Monday night. Whew. Yeah. Close your eyes and send the kids to bed. They didn't need to be up for that. 803-404-6200 if you want to weigh in this morning. You're listening to Coach Tony Annan, Bill Gunner. He's producer Ed Bird. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
WNKT-FM Eastover, Columbia, your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game, a Cumulus media station.
I'm starting the new year by making my home feel like new with the advanced cleaning of Zerorez. Take advantage of their New Year sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Schedule online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
If a man sells pizzas for a living but can't find pepperoni, what does he do? He pays more. He's got to make the pizzas. While JT of JT's Dodgeland on Greystone doesn't sell pizzas, JT does sell lots of used cars. And he really needs yours. JT will pay you lots more than you ever dreamed of, no matter the condition, whether you buy from him or not. Drive, push, or pull your car in and get more than you ever dreamed of. JT's Dodgeland on Greystone. JT'sDodge.com.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we know how serious injuries change people's lives. I'm Jason Reynolds. When you're involved in a major car or truck accident, my team is on your side. You don't have to be alone. Let's do this together.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, my team is with you from start to finish. We're people with a passion for helping injured workers. Bring your case to us and stop the worrying. We've got this.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
Privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass? Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text RENEW to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right. You don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text RENEW to 200-300 right now. Text the word RENEW to 200-300. Don't wait. Text RENEW to 200-300.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game. Sponsored by the power of Love Chevrolet. It's that time of year, and no better time to say thank you to you, our valued customer. Love Chevy, your trusted family-owned dealership since 1961. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads. The early game. With Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen.
I'm not going to lie. When you go outside and you leave your key card inside and you get stuck outside, it doesn't make, that's, I guess, poetic justice is the right word for that.
I'm kind of laughing. I thought I heard knocking out there.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
The building does not open, I guess, officially until 7 a.m. Mm-hmm. So you have to have your key card to get in. So next thing I know, I'm stranded out there, and the security guard is, and so the security guard's not too concerned with letting the radio host back into the, hey, buddy, you guys. So I'm out there shivering.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
107.5 The Game.
7:01 on a Thursday morning. Head men's soccer coach Tony Annan around for just a few more minutes before heading off to some training. Bill Gunner, producer Ed Bird, as we get you up and get you going here, kind of covering a bunch of different topics, but getting into a little bit of coaching with Tony Annan. This is a good one. Coming in, let's see here. I think this was on the text line or this is on our live stream. And it is a good question because I've never coached at the elite level. And I guess everybody has a different philosophy on pregame speeches. And I don't know if you saw Kirby Smart's the other night. It was Joe Pesci-esque. It was, let's just say, not safe for work. If you're going to watch it, it's on YouTube. if you're going to watch it, have your earbuds in or do not have little children around. That is language that's used in the locker room, especially at the collegiate level, and I get it. But in your time coaching, both at the professional level and here, where do you fall on pregame speeches? Like, you got those that want to give the fiery, intense pregame speech. You got those who just want to say, "All right, guys, you've practiced, go get them." What is your opinion of pregame speeches?
I love a good game day speech. Like,
Okay.
You can really, I think you can really get your players up for something if you do it the right way. Yes, there's always a bit of industrial language that is used, I think, with most people I know. Even the guys you think may not swear a lot do. It's always behind closed doors and it's always used at the appropriate time. But I think you have to read your team. You have to read the moment and pick your moment. You can't do a game day speech every game you play. You save it for the right time. You let the best one out when you need it, and you keep it back. And you have to, I think there's a saying, you keep your powder dry for the right moment. So I'm a big fan of it if it's done right and it's done at the appropriate time. But again, you can't overdo it because it loses its impact if you try and do it every week for every game.
When you get into a championship game like that, and I know you've coached and played in championship games, when you get into a championship game like that, the emotions are so high. And you saw that, and you run the risk of maybe getting your guys overly emotional. How does a coach handle that scenario in a national championship type setting? Because it's one thing to do it, I get it, when you're going for a regular season game. And maybe it's a bigger regular season, but in a regular season game. But then you get into that game, how do you have to control that speech so that you don't send your guys onto the field and they're overdoing things?
Great question. It's emotional control is a huge part of winning. It's a huge part of, number one, coaching, but also as a player, having that emotional control as well on the field, not getting caught up in the moment, not doing things, committing silly fouls or, an offside or anything else that you go early because you're so amped. I think football a little different with the mentality because you have to hit and you have to hit hard and you've got to get those guys amped up to do it. But I think a few other sports, maybe, some of the biggest games I've ever coached in, I've not done a huge speech because I didn't think it was appropriate for the moment. And I've kept it really calm and I've kept it really balanced where I haven't tried to amp players up and I've just gone out there with a balanced sort of calmness. And listen, you get it wrong. You can get it wrong. You can read it wrong as well. It's another wonderful element of coaching is, did you get it right? Did you pick the right moment? Did you say the right things? Some players just need a cuddle before they go. They don't need to be amped. They don't need to be slapped across the head. These are metaphors. They're not physical.
I get it, but I've never heard about a good cuddle before the game. I understand.
Yeah, I mean, some players just need a cuddle. They just need their arm around them and say, hey, you're great and you're going to be great and just go out there and be you. Some players need that. Some players need, this is your moment. This is yours. You've got to read the room. You've got to treat everybody individually as they leave the locker room. But yeah, it's important that you don't throw the teacup sometimes, as they say. It's another saying where you throw the teacup against the wall just to get everyone's attention. You don't throw that too often, and I think that's the key is, when do you do it? How do you do it? What's your delivery? And what is the moment you're doing it in?
803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in this morning. Text does come in, and hadn't had you in a little while, and so we haven't really talked about a wild situation kind of with USA Soccer there with Greg Berhalter and then obviously the Reinas. Real quick, and I'll ask you the question here in just a minute about the next coach for the U.S. Just in coaching in general, not even a soccer question, because this is what I brought up, just as a coach and people in general. How did you consume that information that came out? What did you think about it as a sports coach, seeing what the Reinas kind of did there and that relationship with the Berhalters? Is it Berhalter? Berhalter, yeah.
I know both guys, right? I know Greg a little bit. I know Claudio a lot. And I was very, very surprised to see what they tried to do and see why they did that. I mean, that's, for me, it's just it's really, it didn't give us a black eye, but if you ask people around the world, I guess, it's kind of laughable. Like a parent would go to the federation, a parent of a kid who's a professional GM at a club as well, right? So it's childish, in my opinion. It's that entitlement, spoiled sort of element to, I guess, youth soccer, and now it's in the highest level of football in soccer in the US. I was surprised. I was really surprised, and I was disappointed a little bit, to be fair, because like I said, I know Claudio pretty well, and I was very shocked at that.
So that brings us to then, what do you think should happen and what do you expect to happen? Because there's things we always think should happen that is not going to. What do you think should happen and what do you expect to happen now? Because obviously the U.S., Mexico, Canada, we're going to host the World Cup in 2026. It's going to be a great opportunity. That is a young team with a lot of talent that maybe has potential to really showcase on the world stage that America is taking steps in soccer. What should happen, in your opinion, and what do you expect to happen with this organization?
I'll tell you what, you're killing me today, aren't you?
Tough questions. I'm bringing you right back
today.
in. Yeah,
I take 3 weeks off, and this is what I get when I come
right.
back.
I gotta up the program here early in the year. The good questions
These are
come
people
out.
I know. You're asking me to talk about. I mean, listen, I would love to see Greg continue. I think he's done a great job, and I think he's got the talent to do even more. I like Greg a lot. I like the way he coaches. But, you know, the way things are currently, when something like that happens, even though it was 31 years ago, people do jump on it and people want to see action taken because of it. Even though they're married, she forgave him for doing that, and they've had a blissful marriage for 30 odd years. People still want to see him fall for that act, and that's their opinion, and they're entitled to it. But if I was a betting man, I'd probably say they're going to move him on, and they're going to find a new coach, and that's could be a good thing. I mean, the consistency, which is what everybody wants, is going to be gone. But again, we're starting from zero.
As a coach, and obviously somebody wants that, people will want that job, prestigious job. So it's the situation. But as a coach, when you see something happen like that with a parent and with a talented player, Gio's a talented player, does it give you pause in taking that job? If you were if you had heard something about that at a college, I mean, you can even go down to the high school level, even though you know that kid's going to filter out in a few years. But does it give you pause knowing that, all right, at the professional, the World Cup stage, I've got to potentially deal with this for 4 years and deal with a parent who clearly or obviously is going to do whatever he can to get his son playing time?
I don't think so. I think you look at that and you say, well, let's face it, it's probably not going to happen again because of the backlash and the sort of scandal around it. It's probably not going to happen again at that level. So you look at that. But I think as a professional coach, you back yourself to be able to handle Gio. And listen, when Gio was a youth player, he wasn't easy to handle either. It's not just now. It's been around Gio's career. Even the guys at New York City said that he was difficult, But I think as a coach, you back yourself to fix it. You back yourself to deal with it. And you back yourself to give Gio his time because he is a very talented player and he is a big part of the US squad. But I think the discipline Greg was using to try and get that out of Gio obviously didn't work. So I don't think it gives you pause to take the job. I think if a parent, like in this case Claudio and his wife, and the player scare you from taking that job, then you're probably not cut out for that job anyway.
Walk us through the dynamic at the collegiate level of coach-parent relationships, because I think we're all used to the parent-coach relationship at the pee-wee level, as you mentioned, the youth level, where everything's a little bit closer. After the game, maybe you go grab a beverage with the coach, or you got the team. What is for you, for Shane, for Lamont, for Mark Kingston, especially those of you with bigger rosters? What is that like? Shane's got 85 kids. He's got it, not counting walk-ons, and then you got parents, and we've just seen a lot happen, especially for Shane with NIL, and now you've got maybe kids coming and saying, hey, that guy's making this amount, I need that amount. What is a relationship for a college coach with parents? Where is the line you draw with being friendly and also being professional?
You are absolutely on
good
one.
Day for me.
He's
yes,
on one today, isn't he? He's loving this, isn't he? Do I have to leave at 7:15? No, listen, obviously I've only been in collegiate sports for 18 months, right? So from what I understood coming in here, I don't call a parent when a guy gets caught out too late.
Right.
I don't call them and say, your son's doing this, that, and the other. So we don't expect parents to call us when it's not going well, right? The kid's at college. He's a young man. He's not a 13-year-old anymore where you've got to, look after him a little bit. But a lot of parents do not contact you. But there are a few who have tried, especially my first season when things were rough because those guys kind of didn't buy in, I guess, and they were fighting a little against the tide a little bit. And a couple of parents reached out. I had one reach out at midnight, which was
okay. That's why I asked.
And you know what I do? I let them talk. I listen. I've become, from the club game and from being a youth coach, listening is good. Not arguing back and not trying to argue my case, just listen to them. And usually once they've got it off their chest, you can have a reasonable conversation with them. And rational conversation where you point out some things and they go, okay, I didn't know that. So a lot of the stuff is, I don't know if Shane deals with parents. I don't know at all, but I think the expectation of a college program, college athlete is the parent does not call you and complain about playing time, or if there's a serious situation, yes. But I don't think parents should call college coaches and complain about playing time or complain about, the number jersey he got or anything else. So I think that's the expectation from what I know. And again, limited exposure in college at the moment. I'll let you know in 10 years or if I'm still here what it is, but I don't think it's as bad as Pee Wee football or youth football where parents are very, very involved. However, the generation that we're in right now, I think parents feel that they're entitled to do that.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in this morning if you want to do so. I know Coach has got to head off to practice, so you've got to head on out, and we've peppered you with enough hard questions. We look forward to getting you back, though. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game.
Your home for Gamecocks all year long. Streaming live local radio. And it's free. 107.5 The Game.
Staying healthy, especially at the beginning of the year, getting out and playing with your kids, maybe getting out in the backyard. Well, that's something we all love to do. But if you've been in a car wreck recently, or maybe you're experiencing pain in your lower back and your shoulders, maybe some numbness in your arms, it's time to get in touch with the great doctors at Casey Chiropractic Center. 803-796-2424. Casey Chiropractic Center. Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper, both individually have been in business for over 20 years, and they are dedicated to helping you and your loved ones get out of pain and get back to living the way you are supposed to live. And they do it with individualized treatments. That's right. They don't just run you through some kind of treatment mill. What works for one works for all. Nope. Every treatment is specialized to your specific issue. That's what makes the doctors, the local doctors at Casey Chiropractic, stand out, is that they know you and they're working to get you fixed. They file all major insurances and they work on all ages. So if you've got a child who's been hurt recently in a sport, maybe in a car crash or something of that nature, and they need a little chiropractic work, Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper are ready to help. Get in touch with them today. Get a little treatment. Get yourself living back the way you want to. Get ready to enjoy the spring. 803-796-2424. That's how you can get in touch with Casey Chiropractic Center.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute. Arizona was my third most disappointing team of 2022. The quarterback got hurt. Now the coach and GM are gone. See ya. Denver went all in for Russell Wilson. A new coach is coming, but the old quarterback stays, unfortunately. Finally, the defending champ Rams were the biggest bust. The old quarterback got hurt, and the coach now is deciding whether or not he wants to return. What a mess. I'm Boomer Esiason. CBS Sports Radio.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot for Friday is $1.35 billion. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. CSCEducationLottery.com for jackpot odds in a store near you.
If a man sells pizzas for a living but can't find pepperoni, what does he do? He pays more. He's got to make the pizzas. While JT of JT's Kia doesn't sell pizzas, JT does sell lots of used cars, and he really needs yours. JT will pay you lots more than you ever dreamed of, no matter the condition, whether you buy from him or not. Drive, push, or pull your car in and get more than you ever dreamed of at JT's Kia. Killian Commons Road, jtskia.com.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips here for Integrated Media. You know, in today's world where technology seems to be moving more quickly than ever, it can get a little confusing on exactly what product might be best for you. And just like your car or house, every so often you need to tune up for quick repair. Integrated Media knows this, and that's why they've introduced their Smart Service Plan. With just one click or call, you can let the crew at Integrated Media know your issue, question, or problem, and usually within minutes, they'll respond with a fix and get you and your family back to watching your favorite teams and shows, listening to your favorite tunes, or playing your favorite games. Additionally, the Integrated Media Smart Service Plan provides customers with regular check-ins to make sure things are running smoothly. Plus, they'll automatically upgrade software so you don't have to worry about whether you're up to date. Integrated Media staff has all the tools necessary to keep your system out front of the ever-changing landscape. Home theater, commercial-grade Wi-Fi, and the service to keep it running smoothly. That's what sets Integrated Media apart from everyone else. 803-948-8327 and online at integratedmediainc.com. Integrated Media, watch, listen, control.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com.
Mix a little sports analysis, pop culture, and great interviews, and you've got the Rich Eisen Show podcast.
Daniel Jeremiah here in the Prospect Stock Watch. You look at the draft order, who are you hearing first overall?
To me, Bryce Young. I don't think he's for every team. I like the fact he could go to Houston and play in a dome. It's warm weather road games for the most part. That's an ideal environment for him. People ask for comparisons, and I said, yeah, if you left Aaron Rodgers in the dryer too long, you get Bryce Young.
The Rich Eisen Show podcast, wherever you listen.
A wreck this morning on I-26 going to be inbound. Looks like two cars involved. They are off the roadway, but it's right at I-20. So a little bit of slowdown there. Get over to the left if you possibly can. Also a report of a wreck. This one's going to be on I-77 northbound at Garner's Ferry.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
The early game with Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning, as we're kind of talking some specific coaching situations that Coach Annan can kind of weigh in as it regards to Lamont Paris bouncing back after Saturday's loss, but coming back with a big win over Kentucky on Saturday night. What's that like? You win a big match, big game like that, and like you see the videos, and Lamont walks in, he's dancing with the team, they're throwing water on him. It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, you've got to mentally kind of keep it together after a bad loss, but now you celebrate and then you go back to practice. South Carolina's got to play Texas A&M. We'll give away, by the way, a pair of tickets to that South Carolina-Texas A&M game on Saturday coming up here in just a little while. We'll also give away a pair of tickets to the women's game as well coming up here later on in the hour. But what is that from a coaching standpoint when you see everything that you're trying to teach, preach, all come together and you get a big win?
It's huge. Listen, I love to see any sport win at South Carolina. Equestrian, golf, doesn't really matter to me. I just love to see them win. But when you see a coach walk in the locker room and enjoy the win, and he's so entitled to enjoy that. You should enjoy the wins because the lows are low, and you've got to enjoy those little wins, and you've got to let a team enjoy it because you've got to get your team used to that feeling of winning, right? And how much you enjoy it when you do win. And then you've got to quickly get back to basics and go again. But in the moment, you've got to enjoy them. There's no point in doing it if you don't enjoy the wins like that,
803-404-6100. Let's get back to soccer real quick here. I know, again, you've got to head off to training. So day 3 for you. You get ready for this coming year. I know you got your schedule set. You're waiting to kind of put it out here in the next few months. But in this training, as we kind of talked about, and you get the scrimmages, how will you kind of handle rotations? How will you handle lineups to kind of figure out what you really like? Because you got a lot of players coming back. I think correct me, five new guys. Is that right? Am I 3, 5?
By the time August comes, we've got 2 in now. We'll probably have another 4 to 5 new guys.
Okay, 7, 4, 6, 7. How will you handle the spring with rotations? I don't want to say you're not trying to win, but obviously this is a time for you to figure out your ball club and the best lineups possible. How will you handle this spring to get you ready for the fall?
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll always go into the game trying to win the game, but spring is a good time to find out a lot about a player where you don't see it in the fall. Maybe the guy who's a freshman who didn't play a lot, who did okay, but just never pushed his way through. You're hoping to see more out of them, so you could give them an opportunity as well to show and to prove themselves a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I'll rotate. We're not massively deep. We've only got 26, I think, in the spring. So 2 of those are goalkeepers. So, again, yeah, rotation's important because obviously you've got to give people a chance to show what they can do.
One of those, you just mentioned Ben Alexander was a guy that you were very high on coming in, had a good freshman season. What does he need to do? What is it for a goalie that is taking that next step forward? Is it being vocal and being a leader on the field? I think a lot of it's just go stop the ball, keep it out of the goal, right? Like that's the improvement. But what is it that a goalie like Ben has got to do to take his game from a solid freshman season into becoming one of the best goalies in the nation?
To be fair to Ben, he took the winter packet when they go home, and he worked out like a king. So he's come back in great shape, and he's got the bit between his teeth, I think, to do even better. So for him, it's more about being a bit more of a leader. He's a big presence. He's a big boy. He had a shaky start after his surgery. He wasn't really too sure of himself for a few weeks there, but he came along, and he's a great character in the locker room. So I'm looking for a bit more maturity from him, bit of leadership, sort of take the lead a little bit on the field as well. So yeah, vocal, more confident, and sort of lead the team from the back. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for from him.
I was going to ask you, kind of similar to like a quarterback or a point guard in basketball. Obviously, you'll take leadership wherever you get it. Any player that is going to step up. But is the goalie kind of that situation with a quarterback or a point guard where you want them to be the leader? Or is it more of a center midfielder? Or
I don't think the goalkeeper is that pivotal in the build-up of the play so much as he is vocally organizing and vocally keeping guys switched on. So you expect more of a goalkeeper vocally when we have the ball. You're looking more at a central midfielder to kind of be a quarterback. That's the guy who kind of makes you fizz, right? But I think you need a lot out of your goalkeeper as far as organization and making the team step up and making them drop and making them pick up. And it's more verbal from a goalkeeper in the run of play than it is him actually making the game.
Real quick, before I let you out, got to ask you, Premier League, Arsenal, everybody's back in. We've almost a month in, back into it, I guess, a few days away from it. But Arsenal right now leading the way, Man City, your boys, Newcastle, right there tied with Man United, 35 points overall. Thoughts and opinions on the Premier League now as we really start to get into the nitty-gritty and go toward the spring?
Do you want a biased opinion or do you want my true opinion?
Whatever you want to go with. I've asked you the tough questions. This was the softball layup question.
Well, it's still a tough one because I want Newcastle to win the league. But top 4 finish for Newcastle would be amazing. It would be fantastic. I really think Arsenal have got what it takes, and I think they've got John Whittle will be ecstatic to hear me say that, and so probably will Jay. But they do have a lot of firepower, and they are playing unbelievable football. I think the run-in's going to be great because you've got 5-6 teams right in there that are going to make it a great end to the season. So it's going to be entertaining. But if I had to pick, if Newcastle can't win it, then I'd like Arsenal to win it.
Okay. You'd like Arsenal to win it
if Newcastle can't.
All right, there you go. And I forget who Jay's team is.
He's Arsenal too. He's a
Arsenal.
He's a gunner
okay.
too.
Yeah, figures. So there you go, Coach. We always appreciate it when you stop by. Look forward to catching up with you. Good luck training today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you got nice weather today. We keep the blinds down because it gets cold in here. So
Yeah, it's going to be good.
No clue what it's like. Coach Tony Annan, who joins us on a weekly basis. We'll come back. We'll get back into some football discussion. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 107.5 The Game.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If a man sells pizzas for a living but can't find pepperoni, what does he do? He pays more. He's got to make the pizzas. While JT of JT's Jeep Ram in Lexington doesn't sell pizzas, JT does sell lots of used cars. And he really needs yours. JT will pay you lots more than you ever dreamed of, no matter the condition, whether you buy from him or not. Drive, push, or pull your car and get more than you ever dreamed of at JT's Jeep Ram Lexington, jtsjeepram.com.
With the Kroger Plus card, it's easy to get lower than low prices for the win. Earn fuel points on every purchase and save up to $1 a gallon at the pump. The Kroger Plus card. All you do is win. Big, big savings. Sign up now at Kroger.com and start saving. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply.
Save more on natural and organic items. Just clip your digital coupons on our app and use them up to 5 times in one transaction with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
No one likes to talk about the injuries, pain, disability, and lost loved ones that result from terrible car and tractor-trailer accidents. I'm Jason Reynolds. At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we're honored to be the lawyers our clients rely on during their toughest moments.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When a work injury disrupts your life, I work hard to get you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Start the new year in a new Chrysler or Jeep at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. With zip, zero, nothing down, and 0 payments for the next 3 months. Lease a 2022 Jeep Compass with 0 down, just $379 per month. That's right, a new Jeep Compass for $379 per month with 0 down. Plus, get a $7,500 tax rebate when you lease a new Grand Cherokee, Wrangler, or Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. And you can still custom order the exact Jeep you want for just $1 down and $1,000 below MSRP. And don't forget, Galliana Chrysler Jeep will take any trade in any condition, even if it's rusted, busted, or can't be trusted. So if you're interested in buying a new Chrysler or Jeep with zip, zero, nothing down, and 0 payments for the next 3 months, gotta go to Galliana. Start something new sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or GallianaSC.com. Compass stock number 29130. 42-month lease, 0 due at signing. No security deposit, subject to lender approval. Offers don't combine, expires month end.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
.31 on your Thursday morning. Big thank you to head coach Tony Annan for swinging through it. Always interesting to hear a coach's perspective on a couple different things there. Our buddy Jim in Carolina Beach weighs in. I was talking about that Kirby Smart pregame speech and asking coach about that. And Jim in Carolina Beach, who is always sending us some beautiful pictures there of the sunrise, says, I just listened to Kirby Smart's pregame talk, and I now have lost all respect for him as a coach of young men. Just my opinion, but that is even too vulgar for an NFL team. It's interesting to hear Coach Annan talk about it, especially as it pertains to Shane Beamer and Lamont Paris and what you're seeing with their programs. Lamont obviously bouncing back off of that loss on Saturday to Tennessee with a fantastic victory over Kentucky on Tuesday night. And again, I think to an extent it is a sign. I don't know what impact it'll have on this particular season. There's a long way to go. South Carolina's still going to be outmanned in a lot of games. There's still a lot of really good competition to be played. But it does, I think, as a fan and a person who's pulling for the program to go in the right direction, as Coach Annan was talking about, I think it is a sign of things to come in terms of coaching and development and staying the course and staying with what your plan is. You know, you've heard Shane Beamer talk a lot about culture, and building something within that athletic facility down there by the stadium. This is a case where I think Lamont Paris, and that's why I asked Tony Annan about that. How long do you think it takes for your personality, for your culture to be instilled into your program, for it to seep into the locker room? And I'm going to do the 9 to 10 o'clock hour with Preston Thorne. Preston's very good at analyzing things like that. Obviously, having played for Lou Holtz and gone from, coming in, I should say, from the 0-11 team to then going 8-4, and how long it took Lou Holtz's personality, how long it took his thoughts on culture to seep in. Obviously, he had a great player in Phil Petty, a leader who was able to kind of continue to instill that mindset in that football program. But for Lamont Paris to come back on Saturday night, on Tuesday night, off of the Saturday loss, for Lamont's team to come back and play the way they did, even if they'd have lost, to come back and play the way they did was impressive. But to go up and win the game and hold on, Kentucky made a run. You knew they would. South Carolina never trailed in that game. And again, one of the more impressive things in an important game where you're coming off of just an awful loss, you come out instantly and you punch Kentucky in the mouth. You come out prepared. You come out ready to go out of the get-go. You jump out to a 13-2 lead. Kentucky was coming off of the same thing. Kentucky was coming off of a 26-point road loss. Kentucky, a potential NCAA tournament team, was dealing with a lot of criticism, a lot of adversity. That was the team that most thought, that's why they were the 19.5-point favorite. That was the team that most thought or felt would come out swinging with their back against the wall at home in a building where they had not lost a game in 28 contests. It was Lamont Paris's team that came out swinging, that came out and threw the first punches, that stunned Kentucky and built a 10-point halftime lead, and then held on down the stretch as South Carolina won. That's to me, again, it's a big picture thing. And, you go back to last year for Shane Beamer. You go back to 2021, not 2022, coming off of that Texas A&M loss. That was so ugly. Remember going out to College Station, and South Carolina, I think Texas A&M had all right, I think South Carolina, it was something ridiculous. Something like South Carolina had more points than yards somewhere in the fourth quarter. Some kind of ridiculous stat where it was just an ugly game. Just awful all the way around. And they came back, they regrouped. Shane Beamer stayed the course, and they knocked off Florida. Did it in impressive fashion. And obviously lost to Florida, but they knocked off Auburn, got bowl eligible. And it was I think it was the way you want to see your coach lead his team. I'll admit, you go back earlier this year. Again, Kentucky's not the juggernaut that Kentucky has been in the past, but they are a more talented basketball team. They're a good basketball team. And I'll give you another example of seeing Coach Parrish and his being able to continue to build this program. Go back. You had that ugly loss, really ugly loss on the road back at the beginning of December to George Washington. George Washington, by the way, now 8-8 on the season, 2-1 in A10 play. South Carolina comes back. The next was it on? I think it was Saturday. On that following Saturday, after a loss to George Washington, and wins in overtime against Georgetown. Now, I say that because again, Georgetown is 5-13. They're 0-7 in Big East play. Patrick Ewing is heading for the pink slip, but it does speak to, I think, Lamont Paris being able to hold his team together, have guys buy in, because that's going to be the big picture for South Carolina, not just this year, but moving forward in the future. And that's why I was interested in hearing Coach Annan's take on being a coach. I mean, some of it's dealing with parents, and that's why I asked him about dealing with parents. He doesn't necessarily have to deal with NIL like, say, a Shane Beamer does right now with some of his players, or even a Lamont Paris does with some of his players. But, when things are going poorly, players question things. Good Lord, just think back to this year, and you lose that game to Missouri, and who's one of the first people you see on Twitter? There's Jaheim Bell's mother, Jaheim Bell's uncle as well, and how they were attacking the program. And you would imagine, I think Shane said it after the game, or after the following game, about South Carolina sitting down with Jaheim's mother and uncle and trying to talk to them. How much do you deal with the parents, and how much do you deal with them when things are going poorly? You got to imagine Gigi Jackson's family not particularly thrilled with Saturday's game. The fact that, again, didn't score, and maybe we'll get that audio there. Maybe Mr. Ed Bird can go back and get that from what we played yesterday. But how Lamont dealt with Gigi, a stud basketball player, a national basketball player, a guy who's got national attention, who will be a lottery pick. How Lamont dealt with him and brought him back and kept the spirits up, or kept his head up, and put him in a position to succeed on Tuesday night and win that game, score 16 points and be a big part of the victory. So, again, big thank you to Tony Annan there for joining us in that hour there. It's always interesting, again, to hear his input on coaching. And, I asked him again about that pregame speech and how you handle a pregame speech. Again, if you haven't seen it, you can go online. You can check out the Kirby Smart pregame speech. Again, either have your AirPods in or earbuds or whatever the kids are wearing these days, or don't play it around children. It's not safe for work, with capitals NSFW. It is not safe for work. Definitely do not play it in the car on the way to school with the kids. But how things like that are handled, and I always like the input and the just the general vision of what college coaches are going through these days. And it's evolving, it's changing. Transfer portal. Marshall weighing in on our Firehouse Subs text line says, any info on transfer portal running backs we may or may not be talking to? None right now. None right now, at least. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the program, the transfer portal will close up. Players will not be able to enter it until May 1st, after January 19th. They got a week more that they can enter the transfer portal. And at that point, then you kind of know what your roster is for the spring practice, for spring training, and so forth and so on. And then after May 1st, when players can see where they are at on the depth chart, what exactly is going on with their team, then the players can make another informed decision, and you'll have a transfer portal open from May 1st through May 15th. 803-404-6100, another point in. This is back to the Kirby Smart. Again, the pregame video, I think it was something like 27 cuss words in like a minute and something. It's a little over the top. It doesn't really bother me, but it's a little over the top. This is a good question. Anonymous texter says, in fairness to Kirby, that stuff should never be leaked. However, as a coach, it's your job to make sure your team is ready. It clearly worked. True. It is a good point about stuff being leaked. Remember the Will Muschamp video that he was just cutting up with, the get your bleep up and cheer or whatever he said? That stuff shouldn't be leaked. And I'm kind of with him, kind of with Anonymous texter. Kirby's trying to do what he's got to do to get his team up. It's a national championship game. If a kid's offended by it, they'll transfer out or they'll say something and they'll move on. But that's a good point. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll give you a pair of tickets when we come back to Saturday's South Carolina Texas A&M game at Colonial Life Arena. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Your home for Gamecocks all year long. Streaming live local radio. And it's free. 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech. This winter, there are new COVID-19 booster shots designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. If it's been at least 2 months since your primary series or original booster, schedule your updated COVID-19 booster dose at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Life matters. Albert Schweitzer, speaking to graduates in 1935, said, "I do not know what your destiny will be. Some of you will perhaps occupy remarkable positions. Others will become famous by your pens or as artists. But I do know one thing. The only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have discovered how to serve." Coretta Scott King, widow of Dr. Martin Luther King, once said, "While attending college, I heard a quotation that deeply motivated me. Horace Mann said to the first graduating class of Antioch College, 'Be ashamed to die until you've won some victory for humanity.' Jesus taught his followers that truly great leaders would be the ones who learn to serve, to consider one's neighbor more important than one's own self. In our dog-eat-dog world, make it a point to serve someone today. You just might find yourself listed among the great people of our society." This is Stephen Chitty, pastor of Christian Life. Remember, life matters, and so do you. Go to clcolumbia.com for in-person and live streaming service times.
Here's Ben McCoy for the Hood Team.
They took on the task of selling our family home. In doing that, they navigated the real estate market during the challenges and complexities that COVID brought. They did it in a way that was seamless, but they also were sensitive to the emotion involved in selling a family home.
I'm Danny Hood.
And I'm Karen Hood.
And I'm William DiMaggio.
We're the Hood team
at Coldwell Banker Realty. Give us a call
at 803-730-2512
or online at thehoodteam.com.
Plus text and title with approved credit call 888-320-6359 for details. January means resolutions. I'm not going to eat French fries. I'm going to the gym every day. Right, good luck with those. I'm not going to pay over MSRP for my new Kia. Now that's a resolution you can keep at JT's Kia. Check our website, jtskia.com, for huge savings. Over 300 new Kias available. And the best part, make no payments till April. JT's Kia, Killian Commons Road, jtskia.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick, the type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera, and the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Experience the future of connectivity with Spectrum One. You get Spectrum Internet, delivering the fastest speeds in the nation for $49.99 a month. Advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced privacy and security, free for 12 months. And a Spectrum mobile line with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G, free for 12 months. That's Spectrum One. Visit Spectrum.com or your local Spectrum store today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com.
Jay Phillips here for my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got them, they work well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. John at Dan's Fan City wants to remind you to make your ceiling fan move in reverse this time of year to keep the heat off the ceiling. See John for any questions and for all of your ceiling fan needs. Go to Dan's Fan City in Harbison or call them at 781-FANS. You'll be glad you did.
Get the right care at the right place. Visit Lexington Medical Center's convenient urgent care centers for minor illnesses and injuries, and use our emergency room for emergencies. Go to lexmed.com/care now to know where to go for the care you need now.
A broken down car, Piney Grove Road at I-26. Also, report of a wreck. This is 26 westbound, be heading outbound at the Peak exit.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game
with Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Right now, let's give you a chance to win a pair of tickets to Saturday night's 6 o'clock tip time, South Carolina, Texas A&M basketball game, Colonial Life Arena. Caller number 5, 803-404-6100. Again, a pair of tickets to Saturday night, 6 o'clock tip over at Colonial Life Arena. Gamecocks back in town, looking to build upon that momentum. Texas A&M will come into this game, and Buzz Williams, a very good coach. I've always really liked Buzz Williams as a coach. And, again, I really liked him at Marquette. There was a particular game years and years ago. They played like West Virginia on a Friday night, and he beat West Virginia and was doing like the post-game interview and was singing Old Country Road, kind of taunting West Virginia fans and everything, just good-natured. But Texas A&M will enter this game right now 3-0 in the league on Saturday night, 11-5 overall. They're 2-1 away from home, away from College Station. It should be a good matchup there. We'll talk more about it tomorrow, but Texas A&M is coming in on a 5-game win streak. They did lose to Wofford earlier this year, and since then have reeled off victories against Northwestern State, Prairie View, Florida, LSU, and did just knock off number 20, Missouri, this week, 82-64. That game was in College Station. So this will be a good contest for South Carolina. This will be a kind of a barometer. If they win this one, I don't know what the point spread will be, but if they win this one, I don't think we're talking NCAA tournament this year. I don't think we're talking NIT. The NIT is much more difficult to get into than it's ever been. But if South Carolina can win this one, again, it's building blocks. It's building blocks, and that's what you want to see. 803-404-6100, again, giving away those tickets right now. Anonymous texter weighs in and is asking a question that I've heard asked multiple times. Where would Carolina be if they hired Kirby Smart in 2016? Look, I don't think Kirby Smart would have succeeded at South Carolina. The formula with which he is using is similar to the formula with which Will Muschamp used at South Carolina. And I think at South Carolina, what you're seeing with Shane Beamer, you've got to be creative. Also, Georgia just gives more resources to their football program. They do. The facilities are, I guess, nicer, but not by much. But, just the overall kind of support of the football program over there. Tradition, obviously, a little bit more as well. But, you look at the history. I think Kirby Smart, again, he's winning. So being prickly with the media, doing some things that he does, yeah, it's perfectly fine. Nobody cares. I mean, again, you look at it, the way they've performed the last few years, coaches can win games, and the way they treat the media or how they keep information locked in doesn't really bother anybody. You start losing, and then all of a sudden everybody starts questioning what you're doing. Shane Beamer is an ultra positive guy. He's winning. Everybody loves it. Says that's exactly what we need. He starts losing. People are saying, stop clapping. Where's joy? Remember, everybody kind of making fun of him after the Florida game. You win, you can get away with stuff. You lose, you can't. And Kirby Smart, I don't think would have been able to win enough at South Carolina to get away with how he wants to run the football program. Also, remember, he walked into a program that Mark Richt had humming. But they're winning 10 games, 9-10 games every year. Georgia wanted to go to that next level. That was the difference here. You had Steve Spurrier leaving the program 3-9 and a lot of upheaval. You're trying to find a quarterback. You're trying to find some playmakers. And, Will Muschamp had quite the rebuild on his hands. And it made the 6-6, the 6-7, ended up being 6-7 after the South Florida loss in the Birmingham Bowl. But you look at what Will Muschamp had to inherit, it was a heck of a rebuild. Now, Will Muschamp had his own set of circumstances that have cost him at Florida and at South Carolina. Will Muschamp's got some head coaching issues there that I think we're all aware of. But Kirby would have walked into an entirely different situation at the University of South Carolina. There's no way of knowing if he would have gotten the financial support that he gets at Georgia. Georgia's, it's entirely different. And I disagree with this texter. He says, no way you just said that Kirby wouldn't have succeeded at Carolina. He might have gotten to 7 or 8 wins. But to pretend like stepping into the Georgia job, and especially in 2016, where those two programs were at, where Mark Richt had left Georgia and where Steve Spurrier had left South Carolina, I mean, you're talking about two entirely different areas. And I know Kirby in that first year struggled. Things for a little while looked like they weren't going to be successful. But again, Mark Richt had gone 10 wins, 12 wins, 8 wins, 10 wins, 9 wins. Georgia had not had a losing SEC record since 2010. He had reeled off 5 consecutive winning records in the SEC. Georgia was experiencing a lot of success at the time that Kirby Smart stepped in. And I was wrong. I'll admit I was openly. I thought, hey, Kirby Smart can't build upon a first-time head coach in the SEC. That's extremely difficult. I didn't think Kirby Smart could build upon the success that Mark Richt had. You know, I thought Kirby would have a lot of growing pains, and this would be a failed hire. And yeah, I'm a moron. I was completely wrong on that. You look at what he's been able to do. He had kind of the one down year, and that was an 8-5 season. And then it's been 13 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins, 8 wins, 14, 15, 81 and 15, 48-9, 48-9 in the SEC. 4 of those 9 SEC losses coming in that 2016 season where he went 8-5, 7-5 in the regular season and won the Liberty Bowl. So I think we're talking again about one taking over 2 programs that were in entirely different situations back then, as opposed to what I mean, even what Shane Beamer took over. You know, Shane Beamer took over a program that obviously was 4-8 and then 2-8. Although again, I think that 2-8 is a little skewed just because South Carolina that year maybe wins 2 non-conference games, maybe 3, loses the Clemson one. South Carolina probably would have been a 5-7, maybe a 4-8 team that year, just depending on if they'd have gotten the actual non-conference. I think it was like Wofford, Coastal Carolina, and I know Coastal went on to have a great season, but I think things would have been a little bit different. But again, it's past history. Kirby Smart's gone on to Georgia and is doing good things. Shane Beamer is doing some really good things at South Carolina, including getting Spencer Rattler back for 2023. And we'll talk more about that in the next hour. Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells. How does it change your expectations? Or did you already have high expectations? I went through the list of the schedule for 2023 on Tuesday, I think. Today's Thursday. And I pointed out, hey, with Spencer Rattler back, you know, you got to move some pieces around defensively. You got to find some guys. That's what spring ball's for. 10 wins is realistic. Should it be expected? That's for you to decide, but 10 wins is not unrealistic. The schedule next year, maybe not, as we sit here on January 12th, not as daunting. So my question for you in the next hour, how much did Spencer Rattler's decision on Tuesday night change your expectation for South Carolina football in 2023? You know, do you now expect this program to take the next big step forward, improve upon 8 wins, get to 9, you know, maybe even 10, go to an upper echelon bowl game? By that, I mean maybe the Citrus, or, you know, could you possibly work your way into, say, one of the Big 6 New Year's Day bowl games? Not the playoff, mind you, not the playoff, but I think that's being a little unrealistic. But again, you look at that schedule. Georgia obviously is the one now that you kind of look at and be like, I don't know if we can be competitive there. But the other 11, and that's coming from a media guy, not the team. I get the Shane Beamer and the team will say, no, we can go over to Athens and be more than competitive. But as Chuck says on our live stream, he says, I think 8 wins is the floor and the ceiling is wide open. So 803-404-6100. We'll get into a little college football discussion as we roll along this morning. Again, I'll be here till 10 a.m. Preston Thorne set to join me coming up at 9 a.m. We'll give away another pair of tickets as well this morning to the South Carolina women's game, which will be Sunday. They'll take on Missouri, the hated Missouri Tigers. The women will take on Missouri over at Colonial Life Arena, and we'll give you a chance to win a pair of tickets for that later on this morning as well. So a lot to get to. Need to check and see if Brian Edwards is going to join us. I have totally forgotten to get in touch with him, talk a little NFL playoffs this coming weekend, as well as some college basketball games that he might be seeing. So a lot to get to. And again, I want to ask you, expectations now with Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells back. Hope on our live stream saying should have had 9 wins this year, but 8 wins was great. I believe we can reach 9 to 10 next year. So we'll get to some of your expectations now with Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells officially back in the fold. The transfer portal closing in about a week. You've got that going on. So a lot to do this morning. And again, I'll be here till 10 a.m. with Preston Thorne joining me at 9 a.m. Again, if you want to weigh in this morning, 803-404-6100. You can go to our live stream. Again, as always, go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click join, be a part of the program, hop in that chat room and talk a little football. It's the early game on 1075 The Game.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game, a Cumulus media station.
Text entitled with credit call 888-411-7640 for details. January means resolutions. I'm not going to eat French fries. I'm going to go to the gym every day. Right. Good luck with those. I'm going to save money on a new car. Yes, you can. At JT's Dodgeland, save $5,000 from MSRP on new Challengers. $5,000 off. Pay $379 a month for a Bighorn Ram. $379 a month? That's insane. Make no payments till April. JT's Dodgeland on Greystone. JT'sDodge.com. Start something new sales event.
Spectrum Business is the no-nonsense way for small businesses to stay connected. Spectrum delivers the fastest internet speeds in the nation, and Spectrum Business Connect is the all-in-one app to make calls, host video conferences, and send texts from any device, anywhere. Get both and get one mobile line free for 1 year. No contracts, no hidden fees, no nonsense. Just business. Visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
My husband and I own a small business in Columbia, and we ended up needing some help with some tax problems that we had and needed to get resolved. We initially owed about $300,000, and John Ecton and his law firm ended up getting us an offer in compromise, which dramatically reduced the amount owed. I would personally recommend the Ecton law firm. They did an excellent job for us, and if this is a concern that you're facing, they're definitely the people you should call.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problem solved for good. Call today.
At Kroger, no matter where you order free pickup, you get the same great deals as you'd get in store. So you can save when you order during band practice or at the dog park or wherever. Start your cart with the Kroger app and save from wherever today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. $35 order minimum. Restrictions may apply. Subject to availability.
And right now, you can save when you shop your faves. Just buy 6 or more participating sale items and save 50 cents each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Midstate has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Midstate twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, Midstate Roofing.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game. Sponsored by the power of Love Chevrolet. Things are good and only getting better. Love has more new Chevys on the lot than any other dealer in the Midlands. And we're ordering new vehicles every day. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads. The early game. With Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen.
They're professionally chaotic, sloppy by design, and this morning we have we've reached
all of it
on your home of the Gamecocks.
We have reached new heights. I've been locked out. The computer's not worked. The text line has not worked. But I'm glad that all of you are here with us.
107.5 The Game.
803-404-6100 as I ask you to start our number 3. How much does your expectation change for South Carolina football with the return of Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells? It's official now, and we will kind of continue to wrap it up, get into wrapping up this week. Just program note, I will be off Monday for Martin Luther King. We actually all will. The whole station will. I shouldn't say just me. It's not just me. Everybody's off Monday. And then I'm taking Tuesday off as well. I'll be back next Wednesday. So we'll kind of wrap up this week tomorrow and start to move forward toward NFL playoffs. The final signing day of the 2023 recruiting calendar will be coming up in a few weeks. And tell you what, it's about a week from about a month from next week, I believe. I think it's the 17th. Mark Kingston and the baseball program get going, and it is not far away at all. And I want to let you know, and I'm going to get somebody in to talk about this, but there's a pretty good little event coming up that you can attend and check out. It's the Dugout Club. It's the Gamecock First Pitch Banquet. The Gamecock Dugout Club that will be having the first pitch banquet coming up here in just a few weeks on Wednesday, February the 8th from 6:30 to 9 at Seawells over on Rosewood. You can go to Eventbrite, type in Gamecock Baseball First Pitch Banquet. It'll be the inaugural First Pitch Banquet. And again, it is set for Wednesday, February the 8th. It's being put on by the Gamecock Dugout Club, again, over at Seawells. It'll be about a 2.5-hour event. Pretty cool little event. Christian Walker is expected to be there, former Gamecock and current Arizona Diamondback, along with Mark Kingston, athletic director Ray Tanner. So make sure you go and check that out. You can go to Eventbrite and type in Gamecock Dugout Club, or you can type in Gamecock Baseball First Pitch Banquet. That will be February the 8th coming up. So baseball, not too far away. Hope lets me know a month from Tuesday. There you go. I think, the 17th there is what I was thinking. The Gamecocks will get the season started. So we got about time to start talking about what is going to be a big year for Mark Kingston. But we got plenty of time to do that. Of course, today I'm just kind of going over a few things that have occurred this week as we kind of wrap up the college football season and move on into the offseason. And one of the things that has occurred this week is the return of Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells. Wells making his announcement on Monday, Rattler on Tuesday night. And I have asked this morning, how much does that change your expectation for 2023? Because the fan expectation, I think, is to keep moving the program in the right direction. And Shane Beamer's done a good job. 7 wins, now 8 wins. You want to see this program. South Carolina's football program has had some nice moments the last decade and a half, last 15 years. By and large, though, 9, 10-win seasons are still not the norm around here. And it feels like Shane Beamer is moving this program in that direction. But now you gotta take that next step. You got to break through the ceiling. South Carolina had those great years under Steve Spurrier, but couldn't keep the momentum going. There was some recruiting failures. You lost some assistant coaches. Some things did not go your way. And the next thing you knew, you went from being on top of the hill to being underneath the hill. 3-9 will tend to do that. Now you look at South Carolina's program. There's a ton of momentum. Those last 2 games of the regular season jump-started a ton of momentum. The bowl game, I thought that South Carolina would benefit even more from a victory. As long as you didn't get blown out, I didn't think it would hurt you. And sure enough, South Carolina played a great game, or it was a really fun game to watch, one of the best non-playoff games. The 2 playoff games were good. The championship game stunk, but the 2 playoff games were great. But it was one of the best non-playoff games that was out there during bowl season. Didn't get hurt by that. Momentum is still there. You still have a chance to really make a splash on National Signing Day in February if you can land Nicholas Harbor. So everything is trending in the right direction. You can't take the step back. You can't go to 7-5 this coming season, especially with the schedule, by the way. Again, I've read that schedule. You can't take the step back. So what becomes your realistic expectation? Donnie in Camden says this has to be the next step. 9 to 10 wins helps you set the program up to make the first playoff with 12 teams. Another anonymous texter weighs in and says 10-2 or 11-1 next year is not far-fetched. South Carolina's got some holes. They have some deficiencies. Let's be clear about this. We're not talking about a team here that is ready to challenge for the SEC East or, quite frankly, is ready to challenge for any kind of playoff spot. But it is fair to think that when you look at the schedule, again, when you look at South Carolina's schedule for 2023, yeah, Georgia's going to be better. Clemson's going to be more talented, but you get the game here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Texas A&M, I have zero clue what Texas A&M is going to be. I know they're a talented team, although they keep losing guys to the transfer portal. Florida, we know what Florida did to you last year, but you get them here. Tennessee's probably going to take a small step back, but not significant. They do lose a lot. Kentucky at the end of the season, I don't know. I guess my point on that schedule is it's not like you look at it and outside of the Georgia game say, chalk that one up in the L column. There's going to be a lot more, I think, toss-ups for that schedule this coming season. So I'm with you. I don't want to go overboard and start yelling and screaming, 10-2. It's got to be 10-2 or 11-1. 9 wins would be nice. Witt weighs in and says, Rattler coming back gives us a better chance to rise to a 9-10 win season, to maybe even competing for the East. But my big concern is the offensive line. It won't matter who's playing quarterback if they can't give him a pass or run block. And that is going to be interesting. Lonnie Teasley will take over full-time now. He's really, honestly, run the offensive line for the better part of 2 years because of Greg Atkins' health concerns. Teasley really did it for the majority of this past year. Now you're going to give him some guys that have been in the program. Jalen Nichols is coming back. I am interested to see if Marquis Anderson can step in and win a starting job. If he's a guy that I think there's been a lot of similarities between he and A.J. Cann when A.J. Cann entered the program and kind of locked down one of the guard spots and became an anchor of that offensive line moving forward. Can Marquis Anderson be that guy who will end up playing center for the Gamecocks? Can you find some competent tackles, athletic tackles? Is Kason Henry a guy that they were very high on? Is he ready to step in and maybe earn a starting spot? So the offensive line is certainly going to be a big question. Defensive line, as Ferrari says on our live stream, he says, I'm worried about the D-line. Who's going to stop the run? We got exposed by Notre Dame. To me, that comes down to linebacker play. And you just get Jerron Willis in, transfer out of Mississippi, former 4-star recruit, 4 years of eligibility. You hope Stone Blanton takes steps forward this offseason, improves his game, becomes a better guy at diagnosing the run and plays with a faster speed. He got just trying to read and diagnose. You can tell he's a little slow at times this year. You hope Grayson Howard is ready to step in. He's already gone through bowl practice. He's on campus now. He'll be able to go through spring practice. You hope Debo Williams takes a step forward. I'm with you, Ferrari, on the defensive line. And the defensive line is going to have to play better. There's no doubt about that. But some of those run issues are more related to poor linebacker play than they are to the defensive line. You need some experience there. And Mo Kaba coming back, certainly, hopefully completely healthy and ready to go. There's pieces there. They've got to be the player development. That's got to be huge. Player development has got to occur this offseason. But if you can get better linebacker play, maybe you slow down the run a little bit more. Nothing against Sherrod Green, nothing against Brad Johnson, Damani Staley, even back in 2021. But South Carolina's linebacker position has got to get much, much, much better. And I think that's a big area that would help slow down the run game of opposing teams. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in this morning if you want to do so. Chaz weighs in and says, is Jeffcoat coming? He's referring not to Brian Jeffcoat, our longtime friend who's been a part of this program and helped us with some baseball stuff. I think he's referring to Trajan Jeffcoat, the defensive end from Irmo, who has been out at Missouri. That is kind of the rumor. Trajan Jeffcoat, one of the guys that you are watching right now in the transfer portal to see if he makes a decision. Again, formerly of Irmo High School, has gone on to a very good career at Missouri, but has entered the transfer portal. Most believe he will end up transferring back. 803-404-6100. Steve-O weighs in on the Firehouse Subs text line and says, we need to quell these expectations and be realistic. We could go 10-2. We could also go 2-10. I hope they can't go 2-10. 2-10, they shouldn't. He says, I think 8 wins is realistic. All Rattler and Wells bring back is known commodities. We have a bunch of unknown commodities as well. All we know is what we don't know. This is very, very good saying there. All we know is what we don't know. There we go. Okay, I can get on board with that. Look, South Carolina next year has some nice pieces to the puzzle. They do. Now, to Steve-O's point about what we don't know, we have no clue what Dow Loggins' offense is really going to look like. fascinated to see how he is as an in-game play caller. I feel like South Carolina fans, me, you, all of us, I feel like all of us are becoming experts on in-game play calling, right? We saw the best to ever do it, Steve Spurrier. We've seen the absolute best to ever patrol the sideline and call plays off the top of his head in the middle of the game. Still that play to Sidney Rice in the 2005 Tennessee game, where Rice and Blake Mitchell say that Spurrier called timeout, brought him over to the sideline, drew up a play in the dirt, and it worked. South Carolina hit the go-ahead, or I think it was the go-ahead touchdown at that time against Tennessee. So with all that being said, we saw the best. Then you had to watch Kurt Roper, and then you had to watch Brian McClendon, and then you had to watch Mike Bobo, and then you had to watch Marcus Satterfield. I feel like we are a very educated fan base on calling plays in the middle of a game and using one play to set up a second play that then sets up a third play that then later in the season you use for something else. I will give South Carolina fans that. I feel like this is a very educated fan base when it comes to watching offensive coordinators call plays during a game and understanding how it should be done. 803-404-6100. AJ weighs in on the Firehouse Subs text line, says defensive ends were dreadful at setting the edge last year, gave up a ton of rush yards because of that. And again, that's where maybe a Trajan Jeffcoat can step in and help. 803-404-6100. We'll continue on, get into a little bit of the NFL playoffs as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 107.5 The Game.
Air conditioner just kicked on in here, working perfectly. Not the day that I would like the air conditioner to be working perfectly, but it is, and that's because AAA Heating and Air makes sure your heating and air units stay working properly. Now, the problem I have is one of our engineers put a box over the thermostat, and I can't get to it, and I'm tempted to rip it off, but the heating and air portion of it is working fantastic. And that is the same at my house, where AAA Heating and Air has come out. They've done some maintenance, made sure everything is ready to go. We know that there's going to be a few more cold days in January, February, maybe even in March. You never know. You get one of those random snows. Better make sure that heating unit is working. And then, of course, the Columbia summers, well known, famously hot is what I hear. Well, you better make sure your air conditioner is working well also. Give them a phone call, 803-677-1500. That's how you can get in touch with AAA Heating and Air today. AAA Heating and Air offering you a great deal if you're in the market for a brand new heating and air unit. They've taken care of myself. They've taken care of many of us here at the station, and they're ready to do it for you. They'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to buy back your old heating and air unit, then work with you. Guaranteed finance. That's the absolute best part. Guaranteed financing, regardless of credit, to make sure you get that brand new heating and air unit in your house. And then, of course, a 15-year part and labor warranty ready to help you. So go ahead. Make that call today, 803-677-1500. That's how you can get in touch with AAA Heating and Air. Give them a call today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
This is Former Science with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. 3 games, 3 different starting quarterbacks, 0 touchdowns. That's how the Jets ended a 7-10 season that began with surprising 6-3 promise. As a result, 36-year-old offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur, who was in over his head with quarterback Zach Wilson, is out. It's now been more than a decade since the Jets' offensive coordinator has lasted more than 2 years. Former Science. CBS Sports Radio.
The NFL playoffs are here, and the easiest way to get into the action is with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get started with $150 in free bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite.
It's kind of like, Jim, it's kind of like we've got huge windows here, so when you get cold windows like this, let's see if you can see it. You kind of see those windows. I got 3 of them. See how big that window is. Floor to ceiling to floor there, and so yeah, it gets that one day I came in here, one of the first days they had put the box over our thermostat. It was 61 degrees in here, and I was not happy.
Education lottery. There's plenty of gold to go around on the Gold Rush series of scratch offs with top prizes of $200,000 and $300,000. Players can choose
Boy,
from a $5 and $10
hurt my
winning tickets of
I think it's my Achilles.
$1,000 second chance prize. See educationlottery.com for game details. Call 884-11-7643. The legend of JT began in 1991 when rumor has it that a man with a 300 credit score was able to buy a new car. More than 3 decades later, JT of JT's Dodge Land has helped thousands of people get the new vehicle they need. You too can join JT's Credit Restart. It's easy. If you take home $400 per week and have a steady job, you too could join the thousands JT has helped and drive the new Ram or Dodge of your dreams. Dodge Land on Greystone, jtsdodge.com. Start something new sales event. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Go farther with better fuel efficiency. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone. AutoZone.com. AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Hey, who wants to make a resolution they can keep? Let's resolve to eat better pizza. Come on, you can do it with the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Let's start slow with the crust. We'll hand toss that spring water dough just for you. Then add the freshest ingredients and serve it hot. Now, lift it. You're doing it. It's a change of pizza lifestyle. Happy New Year from the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
A hit and run this morning, Killian Road at I-77 wreck, Hudson Road at Earth Road, and also a disabled car. It's going to be 277 at Fontaine.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by, shop online today, and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. With Phil Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jim Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks. 1075 The Game.
I'm going to call for this Dawn Staley cut on number 1, okay? Dawn Staley cut. 803-404-6100. Give you a chance here in just a minute to win a pair of tickets to Sunday's contest between the women and Missouri over at Colonial Life Arena. That'll be Sunday again, South Carolina and Missouri. Gamecocks obviously 16-0 on the season, rolling right along, 0 problems whatsoever. Tonight, South Carolina travels to Kentucky. That game will be on the SEC Network. Plus, they will play Kentucky at 7 o'clock. This is a team South Carolina lost to last year in the SEC tournament. And here is Dawn Staley talking about Kentucky this season.
I mean, Kyra does a great job. I mean, she's going to get them to play hard. They're going to defend. They probably doesn't have the offensive firepower that they used to have. But sometimes when you lose that, you gain it in other areas. Certainly defensively. Defensively, they have an identity. Offensively, they still run the same sets. They like a lot of ball screen action. So we got to be on our P's and Q's as far as communicating. We probably can't play them the same way. So we got to be able to give them another option how to play.
That's Dawn Staley talking about tonight's game on the road at Kentucky, 7 o'clock up there. Right now, let's give you a chance to win a pair of tickets. 1 o'clock on Sunday, Missouri and South Carolina at Colonial Life Arena. We'll take caller number 5, 803-404-6100 is how you can get in touch with us right now. Win a pair of tickets. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Colonial Life Arena, the Gamecocks and the Missouri Tigers. Caller number 5 right now will win themselves a pair of tickets to Sunday's contest between South Carolina and Missouri over at Colonial Life Arena. 803-404-6100, the number you can join us at there. Again, NFL playoffs this weekend. I actually just remembered, doing a sports talk radio show, you would think that I would take 5 minutes during the day to text some of our guests and remind them that they're on today. I totally forgot to do that with Brian Edwards yesterday of VegasInsider.com. Okay, so I completely failed at my job. Fantastic work, Gunner. But we will see if we can get him on tomorrow to talk about the NFL playoffs and some of his picks. It's now, mind you, I like the NFL. I love the playoffs, but I've never had my own team. The closest thing I've ever had to my own team is the Miami Dolphins, and that's because in 5th grade at the book fair or whatever at Lexington Intermediate School, I got a Dan Marino poster and just gravitated toward that and got it framed and hung up in my bedroom. And from then on, I was a Dan Marino and a Miami Dolphins fan. I guess if you had to make me pick one that I'm most interested in, it would be the Dolphins and the Bills. 1 o'clock Sunday, CBS. That one does seem pretty interesting. The Bills are my pick to make the run all the way to the Super Bowl. I think they get this weird, they'll play Kansas City. I think they get the weird neutral site game. And I think the Bills have zero problem with Kansas City this year. I think that defense shuts down Mahomes and the Bills get to the Super Bowl. I have no clue who's coming out of the NFC. Absolutely zero clue who is coming out of the NFC. But Buffalo 13-3 on the season. The Dolphins 9-8 on the season. Now, part of the problem here is yesterday, Miami did rule Tua Tagovailoa out for the game. So they will be without their starting quarterback. Tua has really progressed this season and has been very solid. But again, the Bills, and this is why I kind of said this, that would be the game. If Tua was playing, I'd be like, hey, Bills, Dolphins, 1 o'clock Sunday. All right, find somewhere to be. Check that out. It'll be a lot of fun. But don't have Tua. I expect the Bills to have little problem with the Dolphins. The other games on the weekend, Saturday, Seattle and San Francisco. Seattle slipped into the playoffs because of the win that they had on Sunday afternoon. And then the Packers, who couldn't get the job done at home on a very frigid night in Green Bay Sunday night. So Seattle gets in. They travel to San Francisco. That game will be 4:30 on Sunday. I guess I'm kind of interested. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a Jacksonville fan or that I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan or that I want to see great things from either of those two people or team and that person. But I am fascinated by Trevor Lawrence and his continued development in the NFL. And I am kind of excited to see Jacksonville, who's been so awful, back in the playoffs and hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. That'll be your Saturday night game, 8:15 on NBC. I guess I'm kind of actually pulling for Jacksonville, even though despite what I just said about not being a fan and not really having a huge rooting interest in Trevor Lawrence, I'd like to see Jacksonville. Just something about that franchise, I guess because they've stunk and they're an underdog. I would be all for seeing that. That will lead us into Sunday, Miami and Buffalo. I just talked about that one. New York Giants on 4:30 Sunday, traveling to Minnesota. Again, I guess if you're a Vikings or a Giants fan, you're fired up. I don't know if this game gets anybody's attention. This is kind of the weird thing about the wild card weekend. There's usually a game or two. I'm like, hey, all right, let's order a pizza. Let's get some wings. Let's check it out. As Chuck just asked, any NFL snow games on the weekend? Doesn't appear to be any of those. You've got Baltimore and Cincinnati. Maybe I'm kind of interested in that one. I do like watching Joe Burrow. Baltimore kind of scraping along, but again, you kind of expect Cincinnati to go in and have little problem with that one and move on. And then Monday night, I know most of you, my good buddy MJ, who's a Cowboys fan and is hoping like crazy, Dak Prescott throws it to the right team for a touchdown and will stop throwing pick sixes to the opposition. I'm sure some of you will get fired up for your Monday night game, 8:15. It'll be the Cowboys traveling to Tampa Tom and the Buccaneers. I guess if you're looking to me, if I'm looking for a storyline there, if I'm going to watch, because I'm not a Cowboys fan and really have no interest in Tampa Bay, if I'm going to watch, it's going to be because what is the future of Tom Brady? You know, is this it? Is this going to actually be it? Is he moving on from the NFL after this year? Now that he's divorced, is he going to say, hey, you know what? I actually have 2 or 3 years left in me. I can hang around. Let me see what other franchise I can go and help. So with all that being said, what happens with Tom Brady in this game? And are the Buccaneers able to pull the upset? So I guess there are some storylines that are kind of intriguing this coming weekend in terms of wild card weekend. But again, there's not a game that I just necessarily gravitate to and think, man, I need to be somewhere watching this game, checking out the NFL this weekend. There is some other NFL news that is out there currently. Again, yesterday, Heath Klein was with me, and we were talking about the Panthers job and what direction they may go. Steve Wilkes interviewing for the job on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. My days are getting all kind of turned around, but interviewing for the job. And as Heath said yesterday, the thing with Steve Wilkes, they played better at the end of the season. That win over New Orleans cost them 2 draft picks or 2 spots. They went from having the number 7 pick to falling to the number 9 pick. But yeah, if you're the Panthers and you believe in Steve Wilkes, who again got them to play better at the end of the year, you need to know his exact plan. Who is going to be his offensive coordinator? What kind of offense are they going to have? And then, it's kind of interesting. Heath brought it up yesterday with Derek Carr. If the Panthers want to go down that road and go to another, what would you say, veteran quarterback? I don't know if you'd call Sam Darnold a veteran when they got him away from the Jets. And then obviously Baker Mayfield, again, had been in the league, so I guess you'd call him a veteran. But is that the route you want to go? Or is it time to try and see what Chicago's willing to take for the number 1 pick and move up to get yourself a Bryce Young? Jump ahead of the Texans to get Bryce Young. So the Panthers have some big decisions they need to make as well moving forward, and it starts with getting a head coach. And then I think it comes down to deciding, all right, what direction, who are we going to entrust our quarterback position to? Is it going to be someone like Derek Carr where you're going to have to give up a good bit to get him? Or are you going to try and maybe, I guess you'd say, go into a complete rebuild with, say, a young quarterback? And Heath said a name yesterday that's terrifying if they stay at 9. Anthony Richardson. Mm-mm. I'm not even a Panthers fan, and I don't wish that on Panthers fans. I really don't wish that. I don't wish Anthony Richardson on anybody. I don't know if there's a franchise in the NFL I dislike enough to say, yeah, I hope they draft Anthony Richardson. The Will Levis thing was crazy. It's been kind of crazy enough, although I do get the Will Levis deal because he's big. He can throw the ball a country mile. He's actually semi-mobile. I do kind of understand it, but Anthony Richardson can't throw the ball, and he ain't going to be able to run the football in the NFL. If the Panthers take him at 9, I'm not even a fan, and I'm going to dislike them. Start rooting against them. 803-404-6100. We'll get back into some college football discussion as we roll along here on a Thursday morning. Again, I'm hanging out, ready for Preston Thorne. He'll join me at 9 a.m. I'll be in here from 9 to 10 a.m. this morning. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Your home for Gamecocks all year long. Streaming live local radio. And it's free. 107.5 The Game.
Keeping a nice, clean home beginning of the year, a lot of fun. Makes you feel better when you come home after a long day's work. And, of course, the days are short. It gets dark. So when you walk in and the home is nice and clean, the carpet, the rugs, the tile, the upholstery, all looking fantastic, you feel great about yourself. It makes that long day a lot shorter. Makes you feel a little bit better. Makes you feel happy when you walk in the home. So call Zero Res today, 803-262-4020. Take advantage of the January sale going on now. You can get 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $119. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you can get a hallway cleaned for free. So give him a phone call today, 803-262-4020, or schedule online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Let ZeroRes get out to your home with that patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to keep your carpets, your rugs, your tile, your upholstery all cleaner longer, and it will not leave behind a sticky, soapy residue. So contact Zero Res today. Get them over to your house. Get that house cleaned. Be ready for spring by having a nice, clean house with Zero Res. 803-262-4020, or again, schedule online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Plus text entitled with approved credit. Call 866-243-4623 for details. January means resolutions. I'm not going to eat French fries. I'm going to the gym every day. Okay, good luck with that. I'm going to save money on a new car. Yes, you can at JT's Jeep Ram. Save $5,000 from MSRP on 2023 Wranglers. $5,000 off. Pay $379 a month for a Bighorn Ram or a Grand Cherokee. Make no payments till April. JT's Jeep Ram Lexington, jtsjeepram.com. Start something new sales event.
If you have an IRS problem, getting accurate legal advice could help get all this behind you right now. Hi, I'm local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. To get the best results for our clients, we stay on top of the law and the IRS rules and regulations. It's important to us to get you back on track and in compliance legally without worry for your future. At the Ecton Law Firm, we've handled hundreds of cases for everyday hardworking people like you right here in the Carolinas. Don't face the IRS alone. Know your legal rights. Call me to set up your appointment. The first visit is completely free and confidential. You'll meet with a licensed attorney in person at our office in Irmo, just off I-26. If you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call me, John Ecton, at 803-771-9800. That's 803-771-9800. Or go to EctonLawFirm.com. Carolinas, if you have an IRS issue, you need a local attorney. You need me, John Ecton.
With approved credit and bank determined down payment, call 888-320-6359 for details. The legend of JT began in 1991 when rumor has it that a man with a 300 credit score was able to buy a new car. More than 3 decades later, JT of JT's Kia has helped thousands of people get the new vehicle they need. You too can join JT's Credit Restart. It's easy. If you take home $400 per week and have a steady job, you too could join the thousands JT has helped and drive the new Kia of your dreams. JT's Kia on Killian Commons Road. JT'sKia.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass? Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get
Casey, he actually resigned last week. He resigned a week ago today, actually. So, no, he's not. He's no longer with the station.
Consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text RENEW to 200-300 right now. Text the word RENEW to 200-300. Don't wait. Text RENEW to 200-300.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
803-404-6100. One thing I forgot to mention, I should have, because it was really great news, was Bills' Damar Hamlin being discharged from the Buffalo hospital yesterday. Here is ESPN talking about Hamlin's hospital release.
Leaving the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, they knew that he'd be transported to this hospital. So they just wanted to wait until he got completely out of all of the hospitals before they fully felt like, hey, he's truly finally on the full road to recovery. I was also told by that family member that we want to reciprocate what's been given to us, all the love that has been spread throughout the world to this family. They want to make sure that people are understanding, that they hear it, that they feel it, that they've really comprehended that, and that they do believe that that's also helped their son and their loved one really get through this difficult time. I do want to add that statement from the Bills that was released about his discharge today. It said that Damar Hamlin received a comprehensive medical evaluation that included neurological, cardiac, and vascular testing that took place just yesterday. The hospital's critical care physician, Jamie Nadler, that Dr. Jamie Nadler said that they are very confident that DeMar can be safely discharged from the hospital today and that he can continue his rehab at home and with the Bills. So that is just the good news that we've all been anticipating, but even the family was just waiting until we could actually get to this point. They're now all rejoicing like we are, Jay.
That is ESPN yesterday talking about the discharge of DeMar Hamlin from Buffalo General Hospital there. He was actually flown to Buffalo on Monday and admitted to, again, it's Buffalo General Medical Center is what it's called, and was discharged yesterday. He's been able to visit with his family this week. He's got a 7-year-old brother, was not able to see him while he was in ICU. It just goes to show you the power of prayer. It also just goes to show you good vibes towards someone, because I don't know what we expected on Tuesday morning after this happened. Certainly the situation seemed dire. It was obviously not something that it was something I had never seen occur in a football game. I don't think anybody had ever seen it. Obviously, then the way things transpired on that Monday night with the cancellation or the postponement of the game, we now know it's a canceled game. Certainly, it was something that I think in some way, shape, or form affected all of us, especially those who stayed up watching it. I admitted on that Tuesday morning, I saw the injury, I saw the play happen, and I saw Hamlin stand up in the game and then fall right back down. And I kind of was like, I'm not all that invested in the Bengals and the Bills. I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. And I turned the television off, and all of a sudden had some people sending text messages saying, can you believe this? There's an ambulance on the field. And I ended up cutting the TV back on and following the events as it happened. But just excellent news for that young man. Sean McDermott yesterday saying DeMar Hamlin's health is first and foremost on our mind. When he feels ready, we will welcome him back to the facility. No real word on what his playing career may look like after this. The nurses and the doctors at, again, Buffalo General Medical Clinic there have been charged with trying to figure out what exactly happened. They put out a statement saying they completed a series of tests and evaluations in consultation with team physicians. It says that they were confident that DeMar can be safely discharged to continue his rehabilitation at home and with the Bills. But again, fantastic news there for DeMar Hamlin and for the Buffalo Bills there, that after what looked like a very bad situation, and that's an understatement, but a very bad situation, it looks like he will be okay and able to move forward. So good for him, and did want to share that this morning if you'd missed any of that. 803-404-6100. Again, coming up Saturday, 6 o'clock over at Colonial Life Arena. South Carolina will take on Texas A&M. And I think with every game they play, you're kind of fascinated to learn more about Lamont Paris as a coach, right? Like after what happened against Tennessee, I know a lot of you were down on him. I saw the message boards, I saw Twitter, saw everything. A lot of people were very down on him. And then on Tuesday night, you saw a team completely bouncing back, and you saw a player completely bouncing back. And one of the things that Tony Annan joined us for this morning was talking about how you continue to kind of help players in their journey through college, especially a guy like G.G. Jackson. And after the game on Tuesday night, Lamont Paris was talking about G.G. Jackson and how he kind of helped get him ready for the Kentucky game, in which G.G. scores 16 points, including 2 big three-pointers, and was a big part of that win. Here's Lamont Paris talking about G.G. Jackson Tuesday night after the Gamecock victory over Kentucky.
Man, big time response. I don't even know. I'm not even looking at the numbers because I don't want to. I just want to feel good about what he did. And it had less to do with what shots were. For him, this guy does not. Now, he scores in his sleep sometimes. That's kind of how he's built. But he does not have to score a lot to be really effective for us. He was communicating incredibly well. And we had other guys, too. But was really talking, was really active, was moving the ball. He's a really good ball mover when he wants to be. I was really happy with, and this is all in the face of a poor performance, not only just from a 0 for 8 standpoint, but he didn't handle the fact that he didn't play very well, right. And he bounced back in a major way to both ends today.
Again, that's Lamont Paris. That was Tuesday night after South Carolina's victory over Kentucky. And G.G. Jackson continuing to develop. He will be a lottery pick. He will be a guy that NBA general managers will want to get into their organization. I think it was Heath Klein yesterday used a stash type player. You get him in, you let him develop, because again, Gigi will be a little bit behind the learning curve or the physical curve when he enters the NBA next season. But he's a guy that has got a ton of upside, and how he continues to play this year, it's fun to watch. It's why you should go out. It's why you should support him. It's showing other in-state recruits just how they can be supported by the fan base here. You look at what Jackson has been able to do so far this season, and again, it really is impressive. He's averaging 33 minutes, 15.8 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game, shooting 33.8% from three-point range, 41% from the field. Jackson is more than, I think, living up to those lofty rankings that he had. I know the game against Tennessee was obviously a bit of a downer, but this is a young man that bounced back. And there's a part of it, again, you look at Lamont Paris, and I really love how he was able to coach GG through this and coach the team through this. And that's what I take away from the win over Kentucky. Not that South Carolina instantly becomes an NCAA tournament team or that postseason aspirations are now back on the table. What I take away is that Lamont Paris was able to keep the guys going in the right direction, that they didn't let a 40-point loss at home affect them, and that they were able to bounce back and go on the road to a team who had their backs against the wall, punch them in the face early, get up 13-2, and hold on for that victory. So kudos to Lamont Paris and that team and that whole program over there. G.G. Jackson, Michi Johnson, obviously with a fantastic game as well. Chico Carter Jr. Is a guy they still do need to get going. He only scored 2 the other night, but he's a guy that certainly can play a big role as well. 803-404-6100. Come back. We will wrap up hour number 3. Don't worry, there's a 4th hour on the way, but this one will be with Preston Thorne as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. There's plenty of gold to go around on the Gold Rush series of scratch-offs with top prizes of $200,000 and $300,000. Players can choose from a $5 and $10 price point, and all non-winning tickets are eligible for a $100,000 second chance prize. See SCEducationLottery.com for game details.
If a man sells pizzas for a living but can't find pepperoni, what does he do? He pays more. He's got to make the pizzas. While JT of JT's Kia doesn't sell pizzas, JT does sell lots of used cars, and he really needs yours. JT will pay you lots more than you ever dreamed of, no matter the condition, whether you buy from him or not. Drive, push, or pull your car in and get more than you ever dreamed of at JT's Kia. Killian Commons Road, jtskia.com.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we know how serious injuries change people's lives. I'm Jason Reynolds. When you're involved in a major car or truck accident, my team is on your side. You don't have to be alone. Let's do this together.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, my team is with you from start to finish. We're people with a passion for helping injured workers. Bring your case to us and stop the worrying. We've got this.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
This basketball season and every basketball season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Heath here with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder from First Palmetto Bank. And if the new year has you building or buying a new home, you need a guru in this market. First Palmetto Bank is owned and operated here in the Midlands, and Jacob has local decision makers, which means quick and precise processing and underwriting. If you're looking to make a move, give Jacob a call, 803-719-1005, or email him at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com.
Thanks, Heath. Interest rates have stabilized. The local housing market also has stabilized. Now is a good time to buy a house. At First Palmetto, we have products that help homebuyers keep payments down. Also, if you are considering building your future home, please ask me about our no-nonsense construction loans. The new year brings change, and if I can help you, please give me a call, 803-719-1005.
So to follow up, rates in the housing market are stable, which makes now a good time to buy.
I'd say that sums it up.
Great. Call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005.
My NMLS number is 198432. First Palmetto Bank is a member of FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Hey, I'm Roy Finley.
And I'm Dana Finley, owners of AAA Heating and Air.
If your unit's living on borrowed time, replace it now with AAA's best deal of the year.
Get an instant rebate of $1,500 plus 0% financing with no money down for qualified buyers and a 15-year parts and labor warranty.
This offer won't last. Call AAA today for your $1,500 savings and 0% financing. Call 677-1500.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air. Hey, who wants to make a resolution they can keep? Let's resolve to eat better pizza. Come on, you can do it with the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Let's start slow with the crust. We'll hand toss that spring water dough just for you. Then add the freshest ingredients and serve it hot. Now, lift it. You're doing it. It's a change of pizza lifestyle. Happy New You from the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
With approved credit and bank determined down payment, call 866-243-4623 for details. The legend of JT began in 1991 when rumor has it that a man with a 300 credit score was able to buy a new car. More than 3 decades later, JT of JT's Jeep Ram in Lexington has helped thousands of people get the new vehicle they need. You too can join JT's Credit Restart. It's easy. If you take home $400 per week and have a steady job, you too could join the thousands JT has helped and drive the new Jeep or Ram of your dreams. JT's Jeep Ram Lexington, jtsjeepram.com. Start something new sales event.
Got a wreck at Alpine Road at Two Notch. Also, 277 at Fontaine, a broken down car there. Berry Hill at Bush River Road, a wreck. Fernandina at Piney Grove Road. The traffic lights are not working, so look out, be careful. Also, a disabled car, I-77 northbound at Forest Drive.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game
With Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Final segment of this hour, and then we'll do a whole nother one. Preston Thorne will join me from 9 to 10 o'clock this morning as we will get you up, get you going on a Thursday morning. We've been talking a little bit about expectations for South Carolina football as the announcements on Monday and Tuesday of Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells. How does it change kind of your expectations for the upcoming season? We've been talking a little bit about some NFL playoffs this coming weekend and what those games will look like. And then again, as I've said, you can continue to celebrate South Carolina's victory. The team probably needs to move on. They probably need to start focusing on Texas A&M. But you can continue to celebrate South Carolina's victory over Kentucky on Tuesday night. Just the third time it had happened in South Carolina's basketball history. And it was, regardless of what Kentucky is or is not, it was a great win. And hopefully a building block for Lamont Paris in this program as they move forward. But again, we've also been talking a little college football, big picture. Where is Georgia now in the overall big picture of college football? Have they surpassed Alabama? Several of you were weighing in earlier today and just saying, hey, it's the longevity of what Nick Saban and Alabama have been able to do during this playoff period here. That's been what Alabama's been able to do really since about 2009 under Nick Saban, and Georgia needs to continue to do that to reach the level of Alabama. Now, it should be, pointed out that, Georgia now has been to 3 championship games in 5 years. Is that right? 2018, 2021, and 2022, 3 championships in 5 years. They've won 2 of them. No, it's not Alabama yet, but I think it is fair to start saying, has Kirby Smart built Georgia into a bigger, better, badder Alabama? 803-404-6100. Again, how you can weigh in. One other NFL note that I meant to bring up when I was discussing this, because I just kind of found this interesting. Denver Broncos trying to find a head coach. They interviewed former Stanford coach David Shaw. Now, there was a lot of people when David Shaw really had it running at Stanford that thought he was actually a better fit for the NFL than maybe the college game. He's a kind of a player's coach, could go in, relates really well. Shaw is only 50 years old. And he was really had it going. He had spent 9 years in the NFL. He said he's been not a NFL head coach, but he's been around the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles, the at that time, the Oakland Raiders. I'm not mispronouncing it. It was then the Oakland Raiders. And then the Baltimore Ravens. I would actually think this might be a really good fit for him and for the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's career is kind of on the decline. I don't think that's a startling relevation, something like that. But I think you're seeing David Shaw, and I've heard this, and here's where I was going with this. I don't know what Stanford's NIL situation is like, right? I have no clue what the boosters are out there doing. But I've heard that with NIL and with the transfer portal, some of these college coaches are becoming more and more willing to try the NFL. And it's not just the head coaches. Some are being so put off by the college game that moving to the NFL is becoming a better option for them. And I think it's going to be interesting over the next 2 or 3 years to watch assistant coaches see if they can get on. Now, we've seen this a little bit with South Carolina. I'm trying to think of the running backs coaching. He just slipped my mind that went to the Atlanta Falcons and now I believe is with Tony Elliott in what was his just completely as I was talking about it just completely slipped my mind. But you look at boy, poor segment on my part. I've forgotten both of the running backs. Robinson, who was the somebody help me out here on the text line. Who was the running back coach who went to the Rams that recruited Marshawn Lloyd and Tank Bigsby? And then his successor actually went on to the Falcons when Shane Beamer came in. And I've completely just blanked on both of their names here as we're going through this morning. But I think you're going to see more coaches now that get tired of the college game. Now, David Shaw didn't have a very good finish to his college career. It went downhill, and so I don't think it was name, image. I don't think this is David Shaw looking around going, I really probably should make the jump. I don't like the college game. I think it was just going downhill. But the bottom line is it wouldn't surprise me. That's why I'm interested in seeing if David Shaw is the guy that they end up hiring and how he ends up doing at if he ends up making it to the Denver Broncos. I really am bothered by the fact that I lost both of those names that were former South Carolina running back coaches that went to the NFL. One went to the Rams and was the running backs coach, and one went to the Falcons. And if someone can please help me out with that, a bunch of text messages are coming in. Please tell me y'all have got me up. Thomas Brown, thank you from Jordan, and Des Kitchings, thank you. It's a community, and sometimes I need help. And boy, did I botch both of Des Kitchings and Thomas Brown. Thank you to everybody for those. My goodness, that was a poor segment on my part. Thank goodness Preston Thorne is coming in next to help me. But you get the point. Those two guys going on to the NFL, I think it is likely you could see more assistant coaches moving on to the NFL from the college ranks because dealing with NIL, we're hearing these rumors of players. I don't know if you've paid attention to what is happening down at Florida. Kind of a wild situation down there. And in regards to Jaden Rashada, the quarterback that they signed that initially committed to Miami and then flipped to Florida late in the process, there's a lot of speculation and rumors as to what is going on with the former I guess he still is a 5-star quarterback, but former 5-star. He was a part of this recruiting class. There's an interview up on Swamp 247 where his father says they are working through some issues. There have been some reports, and none of this is confirmed. Now, there's two different reports out there. There have been some reports that basically Rashada asked for more NIL money upon signing, that he was not pleased with the package he got, that he signed his letter of intent and then wanted more money, and that Florida has not been able to provide that. There are also rumors that he was having issues with his academics and being able to enroll. The father was telling, again, Swamp 247, Jaden has not enrolled yet. He's in the Bay Area. We're having a conversation with Florida tomorrow, which would be today, Thursday. We're in constant talks with Florida in regards to his enrollment, but I'd like to think if he's not enrolled by Friday, there will be some challenges there to proceed as planned. Man, this NIL stuff is crazy. And this is a kid who, again, flipped from Miami to Florida. A lot of discussion about NIL involved in his recruitment. If you kind of just keep an eye on it, It's going to be very interesting. Check it out today when you have time. The Florida Gators 24/7 site. Jaden Rashada, again, there's some rumors it's just academics and that they'll work through it. And then there's some strong rumors it's NIL related, and we'll see what happens there. Harlan Rashada, the father, did say that they have not filed a request. They have not filed a request for a release from Florida. According to the father, he's still signed and is committed to Florida, but that was as of last night. Again, there was some reports that Rashada asked out of his name, his national letter of intent, NLI. He said that they have not done that yet, but keep an eye on this situation because, again, it's just another sign of where we're at in college football with name, image, likeness, and the money that is being tossed around. 803-404-6100. Marv helping me says, Terry does a promo for a company that helps me with brain fog. Yes, that was a poor segment. That was, Steve says a little show prep might help. I just totally brought up Kitchings and Thomas Brown. I didn't have them anywhere in my notes to talk about today. And again, boy, did I botch that segment. Thank goodness Preston's coming in. Normally I'm good about remembering names that were former South Carolina coaches. Not this morning, not in that segment. Oh, we'll make up for it. We'll give you a whole nother hour. I see the big fella walking through the door now. He looks ready to go. He's got his game face on. We'll talk with him about some college football and more. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game. Preston Thorne joins next.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game, a Cumulus media station.
If a man sells pizzas for a living but can't find pepperoni, what does he do? He pays more. He's got to make the pizzas. While JT of JT's Dodgeland on Greystone doesn't sell pizzas, JT does sell lots of used cars. And he really needs yours. JT will pay you lots more than you ever dreamed of, no matter the condition. Whether you buy from him or not, drive, push, or pull your car in and get more than you ever dreamed of. JT's Dodgeland on Greystone. JT'sDodge.com.
Uneven sidewalks, pool decks, or patios? Canty can repair them for just a fraction of the cost of replacement. Call Canty Foundation Specialists today for your free estimate.
Canty can fix it.
Uneven concrete can be a dangerous tripping hazard leading to injury. Call the experts at Canty to permanently repair your sinking or cracked concrete. Call 753-1495 or visit cantycanfixit.com. Canty can fix it.
At Firehouse Subs, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders. They make our subs differently because their subs can make a difference every day. That's why they're bringing back their daily medium sub special for just $7.99. Enjoy a different handcrafted medium sub at a special price for every day of the week. Like today's Thursday special, the spicy Cajun chicken sub for just $7.99. Get it for a limited time only at Firehouse Subs. Order now with the Rapid Rescue at firehousesubs.com.
One search engine is used by 9 out of 10 consumers. Hint, the name begins with a G. And there are hundreds of things that go into being ranked highly by that engine. Your website, your business profile, even your social accounts. A couple of slip-ups and you find yourself on page 7. But at Cumulus Boost, we have the experts and resources to fix what's wrong and boost your findability so you can rank higher than your competition. Get started today at cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS boost.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Woody Wyndham here to talk about Pioneer Tree Service. Guy Gant's not with us anymore, but his girls are. Madison Gant just walked in. How you doing?
Doing great, Woody. How are you?
Good. Madison, I see your trucks everywhere for Pioneer Tree Service. Tell us some of the people you work with.
Well, we've been very busy with residential and commercial customers.
So, Madison, you're doing the State House, Midlands Tech, City of Columbia, University of South Carolina. So you're going to want to call somebody you can trust, and that is the Gant girls at Pioneer Tree Service. And now there's a new little Gant girl, Dawson. We got all the Gant girls in the room.
We do tree removal, stump removal, tree pruning, tree trimming, tree thinning, tree cabling, and we will raise your tree canopy.
And no matter where you live, the Gant girls can get there. So, hey, Gant girls, how do they get in touch with you?
Call us today for a free estimate at 803-794-8253 or check us out online at Pioneer Tree SC.
Text and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. January means resolutions. I'm not going to eat French fries. I'm going to the gym every day. Right. Good luck with those. I'm not going to pay over MSRP for my new Kia. Now that's a resolution you can keep at JT's Kia. Check our website, jtskia.com, for huge savings. Over 300 new Kias available. And the best part, make no payments till April. JT's Kia, Killian Commons Road, jtskia.com.
what we're talking about on 107.5 The Game. Sponsored by the power of Love Chevrolet. It's that time of year, and no better time to say thank you to you, our valued customer. Love Chevy, your trusted family-owned dealership since 1961. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads. The early game. With Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen.
I'm not going to lie. When you go outside and you leave your key card inside and you get stuck outside, it doesn't make that's. I guess poetic justice is the right word for that.
I was kind of laughing. I thought I heard knocking out there.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
The building does not open, I guess, officially until 7 a.m. Mm-hmm. So you have to have your key card to get in. So next thing I know, I'm stranded out there, and the security guard is, and so the security guard's not too concerned with letting the radio host back into the. Hey, buddy, you guys. So I'm out there shivering.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
107.5 The Game.
Oh, a happy fourth hour here as we roll through a 107.5 The Game. Spend most of that segment trying to convince Terry and Preston that I'm not losing my mind, that last segment where I completely forgot some names was purely an accident. It was a case of being overworked. That's why I'm taking a vacation day on Tuesday, just complete overworking. So you understand what that's like. You're a busy guy. He own? Or is it just my headset?
It might just be your headset.
Hey, there's Preston. Okay.
I will say that names are not my strong suit. And, in the coaching world, I'm just used to calling out numbers. But in your case, when you're talking about coaches, you just have to call them by their position. So it's like former running back, the old running back coach, or the old OC. They all get interchangeable after a while.
Hard to make a point when you can't remember the name of who you're talking about. Your point really gets lost at that moment in time, and people are just like, "Who let this idiot on the air? What, is this the qualifications you have to have?" Okay, anyway, so good to see you this morning.
What's up, man?
I do want to ask you, have you seen, hopefully, away from everybody else, have you seen the video of Kirby Smart in the locker room prior to the start of the national championship game where he does his best Joe Pesci impersonation? A lot of cuss words.
Yes.
A lot of cuss words. We've had a little bit of a debate about that this morning. Jim from Carolina Beach saying he lost all respect for him because of just how he talked to his players. He said that language, as vulgar as it was, is not acceptable. I do get it. Tony Annan was in with us. He said, as he used his term, industrial language.
What a great term.
Industrial language that does get used.
And Tony strikes me as somebody, I don't know if it's just the accent or sort of the rough and tumble ways. I'm sure he's pretty fluent in industrial language.
I would think with Tony, though, the industrial language, because of the accent, it might lose its message with a word or two that could go in there and it just comes out funny.
The problem with Kirby, it wasn't the industrial language. It was that the Kirbiness started going upwards. He had a little bit more of a twang, and the Georgianess sort of came out. I don't know if he just turned it up some or if he's been toning it down. You know how it is when people get, your true accent comes out when you're either angry or drunk or whatever the case. But I heard a little bit more twang in Kirby's.
You've been in Lou Holtz was notorious for grabbing face masks and telling people, I think, the one at South Carolina that everybody remembers is Troy Williamson getting the 99-yard slant against Virginia and doing the somersault into the end zone. But in your playing days, I mean, where is the line for a coach? You played for Brad Lawing. No, did you play? Was Lawing?
He was not there.
Okay.
He was not there, but I've heard stories.
Yes.
Brad's colorful.
That's the best way to describe it. Where is, in your opinion, now being an adult, being a father?
Yes.
And now looking back on your playing career, because what we thought when we were 20 and what we think when we're 40 is entirely different. Where is the line on that?
Yeah, there's a very simple line. It's and all it is are you cursing at me or are you cursing to me? Like, so you can't call me a whatever, but you can use the word whatever in a sentence and I don't have to be offended. So a great example of that was Dave DeGuglielmo, Coach Googe. He was the offensive line coach, and he was a rough and tumble dude from Boston, and he kind of didn't necessarily adhere to our more gentlemanly Southern Southern ways of speaking. And I didn't play for him. And so I would hear him going off and cursing. And I'd be like, man, that dude's kind of, I don't know about that guy. But all of his players loved him.
Right.
And I didn't understand that because I didn't have the direct personal interaction with him. But once I understood that he wasn't calling them out of their name or calling them something that their parents didn't call them, then it's not necessarily a problem. So that's the real simple line. Don't call me out my name. Don't call me anything that you wouldn't call somebody else. But if that's just part of the language, I got bad news for anybody listening. Industrial language is probably the best term I've heard. There's industrial language that happens within a football facility that may not be for you if you're not there.
So is it fair if you use it, because this was a good question somebody brought up. Is it fair that you know it's going to happen, and if it's leaked out?
It's not fair.
It's not, like, is that something that should have been kept in the locker room?
100%. 100%. Things that were said behind closed walls, provided nothing was wrong. Yeah, that's something that should be within that area, within those teams, and nobody else should have had. And I said yesterday, nobody should have had the privilege of hearing that.
Right.
We didn't earn the right to be in those walls with those teams. And you heard by the reaction of those players, they responded to that conversation. Now, there's also this idea, and I guess people lose this idea of time and place.
Right.
There are words that you use with your friends. There are words that you use in being a Southern gentleman. I might not use certain words in front of women. I don't use certain words in front of kids. I'm not going to say these things with my parents or definitely not my grandparents around.
Mm-hmm.
We all understand that. And I don't know I think we should be able to understand that there are times and places for things. Now, with that being said, on the college level, I do think it's okay. If we're talking high school level and you're using all this type of language, I don't think that's the right time and place for those people to understand that language. And every coach doesn't do that. And every coach doesn't choose to do that. And every coach doesn't have to do that. So there are a lot of varying factors. To be serious, point blank, I'm okay. It's fine in that context.
I have no problem with it. I think it gets into the other question about what is, we saw on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday morning, Justin King or whoever put out the video, the fun video of Lamont Paris coming into the locker room, and you see the water splashing everywhere and they're dancing. We get those videos. We've seen plenty of them from Shane Beamer, Justin King, and those are great videos.
And those are great too. And to be clear, to prove my point even more, I don't even know if we should be able to see those.
Really?
I kind of just like those being those moments for those people in that team, because I'm not sure, I don't know how much Lamont would be dancing if
would he be dancing differently?
He might have got a little bit funkier if he didn't know that camera was there. So I like those moments just to be private for the team. But to your point, yes, we've seen more and more of those moments inside locker rooms.
It's a recruiting tool, right? You're showing, hey, look at how. I mean, that's why you're doing it. You're putting 100%. You're putting it out so that a coach retweets it or shows it and goes, look how fun our locker room is. Look at the culture we have.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So there might be some parents out there who heard Kirby use that language and might say, hey, I don't want my child to be spoken to in those types of language. And Kirby's going to either have to reconcile or just say, hey, maybe this is not for you. And that's fine.
803-404-6100. That was just a topic that got brought up. I do want to get into another topic with you as it pertained to Lou Holtz, because we had Tony Annan in. He's in his third year. And then obviously Lamont Paris in his first year. And you saw that bad loss that you and I discussed on Tuesday. We talked about that Kentucky game, and then they win. And how long you think it takes for a coach to implement his culture into a locker room? Because when you arrived at South Carolina, Lou Holtz had been there for a year. They went 0-11, but he was building a culture and doing things. And again, maybe grabbing face masks. Did Lou Holtz ever dance? What was the craziest Lou Holtz, like when y'all beat Georgia, when Quincy Carter's over there throwing picks to anybody and everybody in the stadium, anybody that was not wearing a white jersey got a game ball. It was just, you get one and you get one. What was Lou Holtz like after the game? Was it like, all right, guys, good job, see you Monday?
Lou was not gonna do a lot of dancing, for sure. And that's the other thing. Lou was tough, but he wasn't a cusser. That wasn't his thing.
Really?
He didn't curse. He
didn't have that lisp. But that again, that can take away from cussing. If you can't get it out properly, it loses some of its impact.
Some of the love. He said he only said damn and ass, and those are in the Bible, and that was his phrase. So, but he didn't have to use curses to make you feel an inch tall. And some of the things he said without cursing might have been way further across the line, than actually using
really.
So it's not necessarily all about the actual dropping the curse word. There's some things that coach can say make you feel real small without even with no bleeps, and you be like, wow, I can't believe you just said that.
I'm trying to remember the 30 for 30 on the Catholics versus the convicts, and it's the young man, and I can't remember. Just not my morning for remembering names. I want to say Pat Walker might have been his name, but he was the one that had the interception in that game, and he'd gone to Notre Dame as a quarterback, and then they'd moved him to receiver, and he tells a story about Holtz just telling him how bad of a receiver he was, and some of the stories to it, but it is interesting. But I want to get into you a little bit this morning because that win over Kentucky, and we've seen it because it also relates back to South Carolina, which you've seen with Shane Beamer last year losing to Texas A&M in 2021, being beaten the way they were, but to come back and beat Florida. Obviously this year to be beaten by Florida the way they were and to come back and beat Tennessee the way they did the following weekend, how much that's culture and how much time you think it takes for a coach to implement his fingerprints and his culture on the program. So we'll talk with Preston a little bit about that this morning. I'll hang out for another hour. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner. He's producer Ed Bird. It's 107.5 The Game.
Your home for Gamecocks all year long. Streaming live local radio. And it's free. 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute. The difference in Miami's 112-111 victory over Oklahoma City Tuesday night was free throws. The Heat actually made all 40 of theirs. Jimmy Butler connected on 23 of 23 from the charity stripe, one fewer than the record for most free throws without a miss shared by both James Harden and Dirk Nowitzki. However, Miami's 40 for 40 performance set an NBA team record. So what's the lesson here, kids? Learn how to shoot your free throws. I'm Boomer Esiason. CBS Sports
Radio. When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just one dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career. In just months, already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus, and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Experience the future of connectivity with Spectrum One. You get Spectrum Internet, delivering the fastest speeds in the nation for $49.99 a month. Advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced privacy and security, free for 12 months. And a Spectrum mobile line with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G, free for 12 months. That's Spectrum One. Visit Spectrum.com or your local Spectrum store today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Tara, quote, "My doctor wanted me to do saline rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a neti pot. Navage uses suction power, so it's foolproof. There are nights when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver," unquote. She's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
The demand for your used car is at an all-time high, and it's never been worth more. Herndon Chevrolet needs your trade. We'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. And to prove it, we're willing to beat any written offer by $500. That's right, we'll beat any written offer by $500. Visit Herndon Chevrolet today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
803-630-5929 for more details. Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Upside, the free app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back just for buying the gas I was going to buy anyway.
But is it a hassle to use?
No, it's super fast and easy, and I can cash out whenever I want.
That's a total no-brainer. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LIFT for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's promo code LIFT. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LIFT for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LIFT.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game
With Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning. Talking, we're covering a couple different topics. Get into a little bit of culture talk in the locker room because Lamont Paris, I think, trying to instill his culture in South Carolina and to come back from a 43-point loss on Saturday to a big win over Kentucky. Gigi Jackson goes from not scoring to scoring 16. A lot there. Real quick, I was asking you, the funny story about Lou Holtz is his pregame speech before the Notre Dame-Miami game. And, the rumor is, although Holtz up there in age, actually just had a birthday, I believe, last week. And
82, I believe.
82, yeah. Doesn't look a day over 83, though.
Looks the same way he looked at 62.
It's true. It's a good point. But the funny line from that is Holtz gives this great pregame speech and gets to the very end and says, "Save Jimmy Johnson's bleep for me." And of course, as I think with some of the guys in that Notre Dame thing, they said, "Oh, we exploded out of the locker room. We were ready to go." You ever have a good pregame speech for y'all?
As I said, Lou's pregame was very uneventful. He would go through the same thing every single week. The plan is infallible, and we would go through the actual, the literal game plan. Anybody that knows, and it would go the same thing every week. His antics would come during the week.
Oh.
So one week during the Tennessee week, everybody always talks about this, is we were playing Tennessee, and Tennessee at the time was Philip Fulmer, coming, all of those types of guys. And he had been preaching all week that we're just as good as they are. We can play with them, et cetera, et cetera. And one day he was coming into the team meeting, and he was always dead on time. Meeting starts at 7. Lou Holtz' time is 15 minutes before. You better be in your seat before he starts. So it's like 12:02 whenever the meeting, and it's like, "All right, coaches, what's going on?" And he walks into the meeting in full Tennessee uniform, full on Tennessee uniform, and he starts pads, helmet, everything.
Lou Holtz in pads would be quite the sight.
Yes.
I can't believe that's where we need Justin King and the video crew to show that one.
Full pads, and he just starts going through the meeting as if it's normal, and everybody's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, what's the problem?" And he's like, "I told you there's nothing to be scared of. The uniform shouldn't scare you because it doesn't matter who wears, it's the person in the." And we was like, "Oh, okay, I get it, coach. I get you. I get what you were going for." But to see that sort of head bobbling, struggling to hold that helmet up was a visual for sure.
803-404. That's a good one. I'd never heard that one. I don't know how many people knew of that one. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Chad wants to talk about Kirby Smart, and it's some fun conversation about coaches today. Chad, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Good morning. Thank you.
That should be a bobblehead. What that should be.
That's a good. I've never heard that story. That's a great one.
Yeah, that should be a bobblehead. That should come out tomorrow, man. Preston, go ahead and make it, brother, because you can make $1 million off of that. Let me tell you right now. The Kirby Smart video, that thing came out halfway through the first quarter of that game. That's like the 4th or 5th video that he's put out like that. I mean, he puts them out himself. There's somebody in the program that does that for him. So that's not an uncommon thing to get leaked out for him, because he puts them out quite frequently.
Well, and thank you for the phone call, Chad. Again, a lot of different ways to instill your culture on your team. You talk about Lou Holtz, who you played for, and obviously he had gone and been able to get his culture into a lot of different teams. What we're seeing with Lamont Paris is interesting. This team is overmatched. They are. They've got a really good player in G.G. Jackson. Michie Johnson, I really like. I've thought from the beginning of the year he would have to be the guy that kind of propelled the team, because Jackson's going to have those bad games. But Lamont Paris, especially when you redo your roster in the manner that he's having to do it, and then with the transfer portal, he's got to instill his culture. How much is that a culture thing in your opinion? Because I think it's a big. I think what happened, and I pointed this out too. They had the really bad loss to George Washington on the road in December to start December, and then even though Georgetown stinks, they're awful. Patrick Ewing's about to get fired. Even though they stink, South kind of bounced back afterwards and beat Georgetown in overtime. And to me, that's instilling your culture of, hey, I get it. There's going to be some bad nights, but we have to keep believing in what we're doing.
Yeah, I was really impressed by his courage to, one, sit GG when he needed to be sat, coach him hard, coach the team through it. And as I've stated throughout the process, when you listen to Coach Paris during his pregame and post games, he lays it out pretty bare, and he doesn't sugarcoat much of what he thinks of what's going on. It's a little bit different than Frank, who was a little bit more bombastic. But I think Lamont has told the team that he's going to tell them the truth. And as a player, you appreciate that because, I'm getting the truth of what this coach feels, and he's bringing them along. And you're right. That win against Kentucky is not a program changer. It's not as if the trajectory of the team is probably going to change. But what it does indicate is that, one, they're not quitters, even though he said that they might have turned it down a little bit against Tennessee, and I think the score indicates that. But they're not quitters, and also they respond to whatever happened from then to the next game, because as that situation was laid out very clearly, they had a great chance to go to Kentucky and fold on other teams that could have possibly happened.
Back to the game, and that's not the first time he's questioned their effort, which you are right, Frank, and we were talking about it off air. We were cutting up about some things we had heard, not just about Frank, but I was telling a story about Mike Krzyzewski that I've heard from an ACC official. Frank was a big hulking dude, and even in a press conference setting, when he would kind of go into talking about how poorly somebody played or how his team didn't give maximum effort or something, it came across differently as opposed to Lamont, because Lamont's we've kind of shrugged it off at times and maybe haven't covered it as well. He's been pretty clear that, like, hey, I thought what was it he said? I think it was after the Charleston Classic, where he was like, I'm a guy who competes at everything, and these guys aren't competing right now. And that was a pretty big indictment on that team at the time, saying that these guys are not giving full effort. But the way he said it, and also he's just a different stature of person. You kind of talked about it. You can relate to that because Lou Holtz wasn't a big guy, but he did have a way of getting people's attention, especially when he talked about his team.
It's amazing how it's not necessarily the message, but sometimes it's the messenger. Sometimes it's not the words, it's the way the words are said. But if you listen, Lamont does in my opinion, a very astute job of laying out what the issue is, and his team responds to that. Now, as a coach, you have to know whether or not your team is capable of responding to that or how they deal with that. I think it's a really different approach from the approach that Shane has taken with his team, because when his team's question was effort, he was vehemently in denial about that, and that might have been what that team needed at that time, or that just might have been who Shane was. But I just think it's interesting, and as you see, different coaches have different approaches to how they coach their teams.
With Shane, you're right. I've heard Shane is more of he's going to protect everybody. Yeah. And look, he did. He protected Marcus Satterfield. Whatever we want to say about Marcus Satterfield, he protected him publicly. Now, what was happening behind closed doors? I have no idea. What does he say? You know, we're talking about language and how you coach your team. Let me ask you, culture-wise, how long do you think it takes? Because I feel like we're watching a culture change and a culture be instilled in South Carolina basketball. I think Frank Martin had that. They were a rugged, hard-nosed team. That was the culture. You knew they were going to play defense. How long do you think, going through what you went through and then now watching sports today, how long does it take for a program to have the culture of the head coach instilled in it?
2 years.
Really?
I think it's 2 years.
That's a quick answer. Okay, just do it.
I think it's 2 years. I've been formulating this, and even when I go back to those, I mean, there was a long time ago with Lou Holtz, but when I was getting recruited, that was the 0-11 season.
Mm-hmm.
You could watch that team. If many of y'all out there listening, you probably did watch that team. You knew that they were overmatched, but you never saw them quit. You saw them play hard, and you saw flashes of where this team is taking on something different than what they were on the previous squad. And you sort of can see that in year two. Year two is when you have some successes. You'll cycle out some people that are just not on board with the program, or some people that is too stuck in their old ways, and you'll have a new crop of guys who want to do things the new way. So I think year two is when I'm not saying that the team automatically becomes great in year two, but you'll see that culture start to take hold. And also by year two, if you're a player for the second year, you can start to understand what the coach is saying. You start to interpret their language, because every coach speaks a language. And that's what was so curious to me about Lamont coming in this year, because with a new coach, you have to figure out, you played sports. Sometimes, when Coach Bailey walks in the gym, it's like, oh, he's in a bad mood today. You know what I'm saying? Or you like, oh, this is going to be a fun day. He seems to be jovial. Or you just figure out coaches' patterns, because they're humans like anybody else. And you start to be able to feed off of those things, and you know what the coach wants, and you sort of anticipate what he's going to say and how he's going to say it.
803-404-6100. Let's get back out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Bryant wants to weigh in this morning on some basketball talk. Bryant, how you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm doing fine, John. Bill, I hear you keep mentioning Patrick Ewing. And my son, I played a little bit of basketball. My son, when he was in high school, I remember his coach during the games, we trying to train them during the game. And I'm like, you can't, that's stuff you have to do during practice. Patrick Ewing, if you watched him, not this year, but in the past years, he reminded me a lot of Frank, the way he coached during the games and the way he took on, where the effects of the game showed in his demeanor. And he's yelling to the kids on the court trying to do, that's stuff you have to do in practice. And so there's a lot of stuff not going on in practice with Georgetown that shows up in the game, and he's trying to fix it during the game. You can't do that. So I think he's out of there. Like you said, I hate to see it, because I'm a big Georgetown Hoya fan as far as basketball. I hate to see it, but I see it coming that he's going to be relieved of his duties, because that team, they've changed over. They keep losing. He gets good recruits, but they keep losing them. Every year there's a constant changeover. He has to go into the portal and do this and do that to get different players. And I feel for him, but there's no reason why Georgetown should not be winning year in and year out. I'm not saying it'll be top 10, but that school should be, I don't know what they're going to do. But it's good to see. I like the way Paris's approach, where he's talking to the kids as they come off, instead of beating them up while they're on the court. And to me, it's confusing the way Patrick Ewing coaches, because they did the same thing with Frank. Because the players are going to do on the court what they do in practice, and you're trying to straight fix it on the court, which I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think that helps the players. So I listen to what you have to say.
I appreciate the phone call. He is 11-38 in his last 49 games. They were 0-19 in the Big East last year, 0-7 this year. Here's something for you that, as I'm reading his Wikipedia page. How about this? Patrick Ewing made a silent cameo as the Angel of Death in The Exorcist 3.
IMDb. I didn't know Pat. I didn't know Pat had an IMDb.
I knew he was in Space Jam. He has made a brief appearance as himself in the movie Senseless, starring Marlon Wayans. He's also made cameos in Spin City, Herman's Head, and Mad About You, and Webster. He also appeared in a 2009 ad for Snickers. Quite the Exorcist, though. The Exorcist 3.
Spin City, underrated TV show. I don't know if you remember that one. Michael J. Fox, Heather Locklear. It was solid.
Yeah, what was that? What am I looking at here? The Spin City was give me a year. Have I got a year here? Because I feel like you're going. Really? Is it that 2000 to
No, that's not right. That
says
was
distributor Paramount 2000 to
late
2006?
90s maybe.
No, oh, see. Well, I have to.
Well, I mean, the Pat situation, like you said, unfortunately, it's not working because we hope those stories work. You kind of want that thing to work. Guy goes back to his alma mater, he finally gets his chance. But sometimes it doesn't, whether that's him or the situation. And yeah, it's probably time for that to move on.
So it's unfortunate. Like you said, that's the scary thing. I know that was, you talk about Mike Boynton maybe coming back to coach South Carolina. That was obviously a concern. You don't like one of yours. BJ Mackey was another one last year. We'll get into a little bit of NFL talk. Some playoffs this weekend. We'll get Preston's take on those. Seattle and San Francisco, Miami and Buffalo, even a little bit of Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence will keep on. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, producer Ed Bird. It's 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 107.5 The Game.
If you've got issues with your foundation, maybe some crawl space issues as well, it's time to contact Canty Foundation Specialists. They offer quality products, proven services, and most importantly, they give you professional experience to permanently repair any foundation or crawl space problem. And you don't want those. Trust me, it's not something you might necessarily think about each and every day. But when it becomes a problem, you need it fixed quickly, and you need to rely on Canty Foundation Specialists. Give them a phone call today, 803-408-7421. Again, that's 803-408-7421. Oh, sure. You're not thinking about issues with cracks in your exterior brick, or if you have an open crawl space and a storm happened recently, you're not thinking about that right now, but you should be. And if you've noticed anything, it's time to get in touch with Canty Foundation Specialists. Contact them on the web, cantycanfixit.com, or give them a phone call, 803-408-7421. Again, the key here, professional experience to permanently repair any foundation and crawl space problem. 803-408-7421, or contact them on the web, cantycanfixit.com. That's Canty Foundation Specialist.
The demand for your used car is at an all-time high, and it's never been worth more. Herndon Chevrolet needs your trade. We'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. And to prove it, we're willing to beat any written offer by $500. That's right, we'll beat any written offer by $500. Visit Herndon Chevrolet today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Smile. 803-630-5929 for more details.
Listen, you don't need to fix your skin. You need to find what works for your skin. So get to know all your skincare options at Ulta Beauty's Love Your Skin event happening now. Discover daily beauty steals of 50% off faves like Tula, Osea, and Maylee's Cosmetics. Plus, find weekly wellness deals of 30% off brands like Truly, Love Wellness, and Foria. You're in your skin 24/7. Make it a place you love to be. Hurry, this event ends January 21st. Shop in-store, online, or try curbside pickup today. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful.
If you're looking to move out of your parents' place, you could really cut expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive, which is good because your little brother has gotten really territorial. You're blood related. You'd think it would be fine to share food in the fridge. I mean, who writes their name on every individually wrapped slice of cheese, Tyler? Still, you've got to admire the commitment. So bundle your renter's and car insurance with Progressive and use the savings to help you move out and have all the cheese you want. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. the needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
May old car problems be forgot in 2023. May old car problems be forgot with a new car warranty.
Celebrate the new year in a new Kia from Galliana Kia on Greystone. With zip, zero, nothing down, and 0 payments for the next 3 months. Plus, we'll take any trade regardless of condition. Even if you're over mileage, have months left, or still owe thousands. Worried about your credit? If you've got a job and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved.
Gotta go to Galliana.
Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Real stock number 3K1107. 0 down, $270 per month for 84 months at 6.9 APR. Plus tax tag includes $225 closing. Lender trade equity financed and new loan subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program. This morning, been talking about South Carolina football, South Carolina basketball. Now, take a quick glance at the NFL schedule for the weekend. Preston Thorne, myself, producer Ed Bird. Preston, I was saying, I do like the NFL playoffs. I've never had an NFL team. Like, I said it earlier in the program. I think when I was in 5th grade, 4th, 5th grade, somewhere in there, we had a book fair. Got myself a Dan Marino poster. It got framed. I was, okay, Dolphins. Cool, Dolphins. But I don't live and die with the dog. Like, don't really care. Mm-hmm. I do like the NFL playoffs, but I don't feel like we're going to get that great snow game. The Buffalo game's at 1 o'clock. Maybe there probably is snow there. I think it snows in Buffalo every day this time of year. But you don't get that 8 o'clock, like, oh, you put on the fireplace, you grab a bowl of soup, and you watch it, and you're like, man, glad I'm not there. Is there one this weekend that jumps out at you? Are you going to get into the playoffs this weekend?
This is not the weekend.
This is not the weekend?
This weekend is fine. It's cool. It's NFL playoffs, so the skill level will be ratcheted up. And next, it's the next weekend.
Okay.
That's the one where the NFL shines, in my opinion. And I'm like you. I did have a team growing up I used to love, the Philadelphia Eagles. That was my squad. But then what happened to me was some of my friends started playing in the NFL.
All right.
And so I just would cheer for whatever team they were playing on. And then I started knowing different guys.
Well, now growing up, we have a mutual friend. I think we have a mutual friend. He was at Stratford, Andy Dunning, who was down there, and he didn't play sports. So he was not athletic and can barely walk and chew gum. But there was a running back, and I forget his name, in the 80s.
Yeah, Harold Green.
Not Harold Green.
Okay.
But Harold did go play for the Bengals.
Play for the Bengals.
There was another one. But anyway, he went and had a nice career there. And so he likes him. You being from Somerville, obviously, is that never was that because it was a rivalry? You're like, I don't like Harold Green.
Well, definitely didn't like anything Stratford for sure.
Right.
Anything across the 26, wasn't dealing with. But I think it was for the Eagles, it was Randall Cunningham. That's
okay.
I think it's always the quarterbacks, right? So it was Randall Cunningham, and then they got Donovan McNabb, so that was cool. And then Deuce was there,
right? Sure.
And so that was sort of like, oh, okay, this is going to be my team that I follow. But like I said, once my friends started playing there, then I just started cheering for whatever teams they were watching. Now I don't necessarily have a team, but the NFL playoffs, the level of skill you'll see, and then skill and intensity, you'll just see it ratcheted up to another level.
This weekend, one game that is interesting, I want to see Trevor Lawrence. I'm interested. Doug Peterson is going to be the saving grace for Trevor Lawrence because that thing with Urban Meyer was imploding quickly, and they made the right move to get away from him. Doug Peterson has drastically improved Trevor Lawrence, but I want to see what he looks like against the Chargers this weekend.
He'll be fine, man. Doug Peterson is a competent NFL coach, even competent to good. And Trevor's just never seen that level of dysfunction before in an organization, right?
I don't think anybody has.
Nobody has, but
when you're walking around kicking the kicker, I think we're reaching levels of dysfunction.
Yeah, but Trevor came from championship pedigree, where things run very there's a standard and there's a way things are operated. You talk about coming from somebody doing one thing one way and then going to somebody that's totally opposite. Obviously I didn't feel bad for Trevor. He was being compensated very well to be where he was, but that was just a terrible situation. I'm glad they moved on, and it's really interesting for him to be able to get a chance to show how talented he actually is.
It's again, and it'll be a great quarterback matchup. You got another young one there in Justin Herbert, who has had a very good season. That'll be your 8:15 game on Saturday night. The fact that it's in Jacksonville, been some good games in Jacksonville lately. A bowl game. Then you had was it last weekend's game for the AFC South, I believe is what it was. Yep. And now you get this, but Herbert this year, 4,700 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Trevor this year, 4,100 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Do you see him continuing to take a step?
Yes.
Like, is this? I mean, they've got to get a few more guys around him, but you like where you see
I've been a believer. Since he made this throw against Georgia Tech his freshman year.
Okay.
I was like, oh, this dude's the truth, and I've been a believer in. That's why I was like, I really did not like him having to deal with Urban Meyer for that freshman year, because first rookie year, I should say. Just because sometimes careers just get thrown off the rails because you're in a terrible situation. So I'm really, really, really happy, and I'm excited for him. I think I heard a stat the other day. Tell me how this sounds, and you may not know this. Patrick Mahomes is now the oldest quarterback in the AFC playoffs. Besides checking for verification, how does that make you feel?
Well, I'm at that point in my life where I've kind of moved. I think the last about 5 years where I went from most players being older than me to now being like, oh my goodness, these guys are like younger than me. Like Mahomes is what, 25?
I think he's 27.
27?
I think so.
So you said in the AFC?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Jacksonville. No. I'm blanking. Well, no. Miami's going to start the kid from Kansas State, Skylar Thompson, I believe. He can't be older than that. How old's Josh Allen? 26?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Okay. Yeah, that sounds. I mean, look, you've got a generation. This is what we've talked about.
That's just amazing to me.
This is what we talked about the last few years with the cycling out of older great quarterback. Now, Tom Brady, I guess, is going to just hold on for as long as possible. Is this Tom Brady's last weekend?
I hope so.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Do you not want to see him go to one more franchise? And
nah, it's a wrap.
Get
out of here, man.
Nah, he still got it, doesn't he?
He does, which is the strange thing about it. But nah, it's time for him to move on.
Does that ruin people's career in your opinion when they've made a name for themselves? Like, we all block out Jordan with the Wizards or whatever they were at that point, the Wizards. I think we blocked that out. Like, I guess Joe Montana with the Chiefs wasn't bad.
Yeah, some people would say he was even good. I believe they went to AFC championship.
They were in an AFC championship.
So I mean, yeah, it's interesting that, and again, you just think about how it cycles. I remember my father talking about, like, Willie Mays was the greatest, and he was just like, yeah, we don't talk about those years with the Mets, though.
Right?
It's like, and I guess that cycle just continues on and on and on.
Well, that's like for Jay Phillips, that's like the Dale Murphy saga there, the former Brave. I mean, like, I have no clue if Dale Murphy played. Anything after the Braves, I block out.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, there's nothing official that occurred for Dale Murphy after the Braves, but I do think about that. Now, it helps Tom Brady that he won a Super Bowl.
Smith with the Cardinals.
Oh. Jerry Rice with the Raiders.
Jerry had a long. Jerry was actually pretty good with the Raiders, though. He was solid.
I'm leaving here in 17 minutes. Who is the worst? What is the worst? Is it Jordan with the Wizards?
He was not bad. He was not bad.
But it's such a bad.
He wasn't Jordan, but it was a not great way.
Who is the worst? I've got to keep playing. I mean, Shaq all of a sudden went on a run of teams that was absolutely incredible.
Shaq with the Celtics. Do you remember that?
I think that's what it was. I think it was somebody, like, I flipped on a game one night and it's like, and now checking in, Shaquille O'Neal. I was like, what is he doing playing for the Toronto Argonauts or something? Like, is he just hanging out. I mean, like it.
Patrick Ewing with the Seattle Supersonics.
Ooh, see, I don't remember that.
I think that was pretty rough.
803-404-6100. Give us the worst
swan song.
The worst swan song ever. Shaq's is pretty bad, actually, now that I think about it. I mean, I'm trying to go back because he just all of a sudden at the end of his career just bounced.
It's like Shaq is on the Suns now. What's going on?
Yeah, it was and at one point he was I think he was with LeBron in Cleveland, and that was Fat Shaq. That was Shaq that ain't the original Shaq that was in Cleveland. Like I'm just trying to find the end of his playing career because it went sideways quick after the Heat. Let's just see. We got the Cavaliers for a year, the Celtics, and then apparently wrapped it up with yes, Shaq is a Celtic is that was bad. That might be the worst one. I'm looking to see if I can get some stats real quick.
I know those minutes per game were very low.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. 803-404-6100, your worst swan song. I'll read some of these when we come back. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner. He is producer Ed Bird. It's 107.5 The Game.
Your home for Gamecocks all year long. Streaming live local radio. And it's free. 107.5 The Game.
Managing your online presence takes time, effort, and expertise. It can overwhelm even the savviest business owner. So, meet Cumulus Boost. We're experts at boosting the online presence for businesses of every type. We make sure potential customers can easily find you and really like what they find. Your website, online listings, consumer reviews, and more. Cumulus Boost, online at cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS Boost.com.
Start the new year in a new Chrysler or Jeep at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone with zero, nothing down, and 0 payments for the next 3 months. Lease a 2022 Jeep Compass with 0 down, just $379 per month. That's right, a new Jeep Compass for $379 per month with 0 down. Plus, get a $7,500 tax rebate when you lease a new Grand Cherokee, Wrangler, or Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. And you can still custom order the exact Jeep you want for just $1 down and $1,000 below MSRP. And don't forget, Galliana Chrysler Jeep will take any trade in any condition, even if it's rusted, busted, or can't be trusted. So if you're interested in buying a new Chrysler or Jeep with zero, nothing down, and 0 payments for the next 3 months. Gotta go to Galliana. Start something new sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or GallianaSC.com. Compass stock number 29130. 42-month lease, 0 due at signing. No security deposit, subject to later approval. Offer still combined, expires month end.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com.
At Firehouse Subs, a portion of every purchase helps provide life-saving equipment to first responders. They make our subs differently because their subs can make a difference every day. That's why they're bringing back their daily medium sub special for just $7.99. Enjoy a different handcrafted medium sub at a special price for every day of the week. Like today's Thursday special, the spicy Cajun chicken sub for just $7.99. Get it for a limited time only at Firehouse Subs. Order now with the Rapid Rescue at firehousesubs.com.
Was text and title with approved credit. Call 888-411-7640 for details. January means resolutions. I'm not going to eat French fries. I'm going to go to the gym every day. Right. Good luck with those. I'm going to save money on a new car. Yes, you can. At JT's Dodgeland, save $5,000 from MSRP on new Challengers. $5,000 off. Pay $379 a month for a Bighorn Ram. $379 a month? That's insane. Make no payments till April. JT's Dodgeland on Greystone. JT'sDodge.com. Start something new sales event.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter, Tyler Head, and Jen Jensen on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
Maybe next week we'll do a segment on old person injuries. Preston and I we're same age. You're 40, right? I'll be 41 in May.
Correct.
Yeah, we're the same age, and we're cutting up about our old. I was telling him about 2 years ago when I was diagnosed with a torn meniscus in one knee and a torn hamstring in the other leg, and I was telling him I was using. It wasn't even like a new cane. This was like a cane, and it wasn't a cane. It was the one that had the 4 prongs at the bottom.
I know which one you got.
And it had been it was a 20-year-old cane, and I'm hobbling around the house, and I got stairs there too, which was a problem. All right, a couple of these. We're going for worst swan song with a organization. Soda City Bobby, Brett Favre with the Jets.
Not great.
Not great.
Yeah, not great on or off the field. He had some issues.
Brian from Sumter does go with Montana with the Chiefs, but again, I think they played in the AFC Championship. That one. It wasn't San Francisco, but I think that one was kind of hard. Matt goes with Favre with the Vikings, but didn't they were again. He was
there.
He was an interception away from getting back to the Super Bowl, right? They were in New Orleans.
They were right there. That was right there. Now that was one of the big parts of our local Sidney Rice's career for sure.
Yeah. Brock weighs in and says Cam Newton when he came back to the Panthers, not a good way to end. Yeah.
See, that one's really close, and I guess I didn't idolize Cam in the same way, but for maybe somebody your son's age or somebody like that, that's gonna be something we don't want to remember.
Dan says Janikowski to the Seahawks for his last year. It's another good one that I have no.
But see, the thing with Janikowski is he was always fat.
It's true.
So
yeah.
it's like you couldn't really look at him and tell any difference of how he changed over the years.
Anthony on our live stream goes with Steve Nash with the Lakers. Yeah,
that whole segment. Karl Malone was on that squad.
Oh, was that Gary Payton was in there with
Gary Payton. It was like the
it was everybody going for a ring.
It was the basketball expendables.
Yeah,
they were terrible.
Everybody that was come on, let's all get a ring. I don't remember this one. Little bit before my time. Chris weighs in and goes Marcus Allen with Kansas City. Remember that one?
I think he was right up in there in that same time as
Montana.
I feel like that was right around the same time, if I remember correctly. Now, this is young Preston Brain, but I do remember that.
Here's one I actually have to look up.
Okay.
Allen Iverson with the Pistons.
Allen, he went off a cliff quick, and a lot of times that happens with those real athletic dudes, but he was okay at Denver, if I remember correctly, but I kind of don't remember the Pistons.
If he was with the Pistons,
it happened.
2008, 2009. Then went to the Grizzlies.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was It was there. You go. Worst swan songs for a player. And we'll see what because that goes back. Tom Brady will not fall in there because he won a Super Bowl. But I will say this year, towards the end of last year and this year, that's gonna taint the legacy just a little bit. Probably doesn't help that Rob Gronkowski's calling him every day from the beach somewhere, just in a tank top, drinking some kind of fruity drink concoction, just being like, "Hey Tom, you having a good time?"
Yeah, it was a great story. It's like, oh man, this guy's gonna play. But now it's almost turned the flip side to a sad story. It's like, all right, man, there's other things you can do besides play football. It's okay.
Well, it's just what I feel bad is the way his private life played out publicly to start the season. Like there was something there. I mean, there was. I don't know if how ESPN is. I don't know if we'll ever get a 30 for 30 documentary on like the final years of Tom Brady. Like this is what happened to cause the divorce. Like he didn't want to go sit in the kids' pickup line at school. And Giselle, it was basically like, look, you're either doing this or you're getting divorced. What do you want to do? And he's like, I'm going to play football.
I'll go throw the ball.
It's just, I don't want to go to PTA tonight. So we'll see. But they get Monday night. You Cowboys fan? I know you said you're an Eagle, so I'm going to assume.
Yeah. Cowboys are definitely a non-starter.
Okay.
Even though it's weird how sometimes you can even let go of your fandom, but then the teams that you hate, that still resides. So, yeah, Cowboys are non-starters.
I just never it's not that I've ever disliked the Cowboys. Again, I think that's the way it is for the majority of the NFL. It's not that I don't even have a team like I specifically dislike.
Yeah.
Hate's always a strong word, but there's nobody that I've ever been like, man, I really hope they don't win it. Like, I kind of was able to appreciate New England. Didn't mean I always kind of pulled for them. I wanted to see New England actually the year that they were undefeated finish it off. And then you had the Eli Manning pass to the wide receiver who we never heard from again, who caught it off the guy's back. But it's stuff like that. We'll see this weekend. Again, good little schedule there coming out. Seattle and San Francisco. I would have loved to see Green Bay in it. I like watching Aaron Rodgers. I just like watching Aaron Rodgers operate. Is there a player in the NFL right now that you I always go to this. Who would you pay to watch?
Yeah.
Tickets are expensive these days. Is there a player in the NFL you'd pay to watch?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about all of those quarterbacks. Any of those AFC quarterbacks, I would love to go see in person. Justin Herbert, see that long, beautiful hair of his flow. Better hair, Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence?
I'm glad to admit that I've never looked at Justin
Come
Herbert's
on,
hair.
man. What are we doing?
This makes me feel a whole lot better about what I do in the hours that I'm not here.
This is the important stuff. Joe Burrow has pretty good hair also, but it's short. It's cropped. He has a little swoop over the top. But Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert have great
Who is it?
flowing
We did
locks.
this. We did Patrick and I think, did this with Mike Kotsar about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Best hair.
He had a nice cut.
And not only that, but they do a good job. He did a good job with whatever hair gel he had, because the hair gel I use expires after 5 hours during the day. If I have to go to a nice event, the hair gel runs out. And all of a sudden, it just doesn't look good.
See, you probably get your hair gel from pharmacy or something like that. You got to go to a hair shop to get that type of hair gel.
That's where I've got three bottles of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe it just doesn't.
My stylist, because I wear a hat here every day, and because it's radio, and why would I not go to a stylist? But yeah, it loses its hold.
But from a football perspective, besides the flowing locks, I would like to see Josh Allen in person. I like to see him run over some people, throw some of those throws. I'd like to see him in person. I would really like to see. I guess he's not. That's it. Josh
Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go Aaron Rodgers. There's a part of me that likes going to SEC Media Day. I did this with Tua a couple years ago because I wanted to. I mean, obviously, I'm not a big guy, but I like standing next to guys and seeing the physical stature.
Did you see how not big a guy Tua was?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was amazing. It was kind of amazing to see. I stood next to Trevor Lawrence once, and you don't realize, because you watch on TV and you see stuff. I was impressed with how physically big Trevor Lawrence was. Dude. We will do it again. I will do it again with Preston next week. We'll hang out with you. Terry Ford will hop in here coming up. Hope you enjoyed as much fun as we had that hour. I will be back tomorrow morning. We'll roll along on a Friday morning episode of the early game. Hope everybody has a great rest of the afternoon. I'm out. Preston's hanging around. I got to make sure my car didn't go get towed. We'll catch you tomorrow.
That's a bad feeling.
That is awful.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
All right, everybody. That was another 4 hours. Hope everybody did well. Have a great rest of the day.